our 141st weekly webcast. Now, I'm going to give you all a course that's helped many of my students take their careers to the next level in a minute. Now, the way this call works is I first discuss the most important and interesting business news topics from the past week and how we can all use these to enhance our careers or invest better. Then what I'll do is I'll spend the rest of the 3-hour call taking your questions, and I'll give away my $999 MBA product to one person on this call, and I'll explain how you can win this very, very soon. Now, over the past 141 weekly YouTube webcasts, and during the many MBA office hours and MBA Q&A sessions, I've answered more than 10,000 questions live on YouTube. It's been a blast, and I thought it would be awesome if you could type your questions and I could immediately answer them based on my 10,000 questions answered. And so I want to introduce you to a product of mine called Power Search. Now, the way that Power Search works is you can type any question you have right here, and I'll answer that question with a video. I've answered a gazillion questions over the past couple of years, so you can enter in anything you want, even make spelling mistakes, which I make all the time, and I answer those questions, and you'll see the video answer. So, for example, if I select Bitcoin, for example, which I typed in before, or you can type what is Bitcoin, there's a ton of questions I've answered about Bitcoin over the years. You can also find out in my MBA program and other courses where I mention that topics and other downloads and documents on my website. So it's a lot of fun. I'm nerding out about this, but I hope you enjoy that. Also, what I want to mention is that on Wednesday, June 30th, I'm going to be hosting a web class. So you can actually get a taste of what my MBA degree program is all about. And I'm going to be giving away a lot of prizes, and everybody attending is going to get a free course of mine. Now, to register for that, just go to harooneducation.com/ all lowercase here. Hold on one second. All lowercase web class. Right here. Yeah. And you can click to sign up. It'll be a lot of fun. Again, there'll be prizes for everybody. All right, cool. Lastly, if you are getting value out of this content, please like, share, and subscribe as well to this channel. It'll help me out a lot. Thank you. Okay, so let's now move on to the news and topics to help you take your career or investment portfolio to the next level. Thank you. According to Warren Buffett's favorite market statistic, we are now in an unprecedented stock market bubble. His metric to determine this is if you take the global market capitalization of companies. Give me 1 second to get back on track here, sorry. So his metric to determine this is if you take the global market cap, meaning the value of all publicly traded companies, and then what you do is you divide this by the size of the revenue of all countries, meaning global GDP. Hold on a second, having a little malfunction here. We're back on track. Okay, good. Yeah, so what you do is you take the global market cap of all companies in the world, and then what you do is you divide that by the size of the global GDP. And so if that statistic, this division here, global market cap divided by the global GDP, if it's over 100%, then Warren Buffett believes that the market is extremely overvalued and we could see a significant pullback. Now, currently, the global GDP divided by the global market cap is well over 130%, which is actually the highest it's ever been. So what I want to do right now is I actually want to go with you to do a quick little exercise and look at what the value is now and how to calculate this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and do a search together on global market cap. So let's go there. Global market cap. And then what we'll see here is we'll see the IMF's website right here. Actually, we'll use the World Bank's website. And if we click on this here, we'll see what the market capitalization divided by GDP is in the world. And let me just go through this really quickly. It's an interesting little case study. So if we go back to 1980 here, we see that the global market cap divided by GDP was 30, okay? And the reason why stocks didn't do well then was because interest rates were very, very high, okay? Then if we go over here to 1989, the market was doing extraordinarily well because the Berlin Wall fell and a lot of Eastern European labor moved west, right, which keeps inflation in check. So the market did well and then pulled back a bit during Gulf War I. And then what happened was over here in 1999, and this is where Buffett talked a lot about this. I remember as well. I am that old. In 1999, the figure was over 110, meaning the global stock market cap divided by GDP. And we saw a big pullback after March of 2000, which was the peak of the NASDAQ at that point in time. We saw another peak here as well, right before the stock market bubble burst in 2008 when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working. Now, right now it's tough to see, but we're actually, if this had data that was accurate as of today, we would be up here, okay? And right up there, that would mean 130% in 2021. Okay, so it's very, very high. It's a little bit concerning, yeah. So let me go back here to delete that. It's fun doing this stuff live, eh? All right, here we go, cool. And then I'll go back to PowerPoint here. All right, so should you be worried about this? Well, I think a little bit. Now, if we look at the GDP, we see the denominator, see the world there? Global GDP is a bit low now, to be intellectually honest, relative to normalized economic environments because of COVID's impact on the global economy. And so if we normalize the data, then valuations are still quite high, according to Warren Buffett's standards. And governments have actually kept interest rates artificially low. Now, in the United States, the GDP to market cap is insanely high. It's over 200%. So the question is this sustainable? No. And hedge funds have had their faces ripped off by shorting the market. And, you know, it's actually really, really hard. It's impossible to time the market pullbacks. And there's actually a famous quote that the stock market can stay irrational longer than we can stay solvent. And I remember when I worked in the hedge fund market industry back in 2006 and 2007, I asked my boss, Art Sandberg, who ran Pequot, great guy, God bless him, passed away. But I remember we wanted to pitch shorts in housing stocks, KBH and Lennar, ticker LEN. And our thesis was that there was a private equity bubble and that there was also a real estate bubble. And he said to us at the time, son, I've been around long enough to understand never to stand in the way of insanity. You know, markets peak, markets trough, but you just can't time that sort of thing. It's tough. And the reason that markets actually end up crashing eventually is because of what is called a black swan, meaning a rare event that we just can't forecast, like 9/11, COVID, of course, etc. So what should you do? Well, I would be very careful owning stocks that don't trade very much, meaning the average daily volume of shares traded is low because, as many hedge funds actually learned in the crash of 2008, illiquid stocks own you rather than you owning them when the market crashes. And owning stocks that don't trade very much caused many hedge funds to go belly up actually in 2008. Number two, if you can, please try to keep some dry powder so you can back up the truck and buy when the market pulls back. So what metric should we use to know when to buy, meaning when to back up the truck and buy stocks? Well, I've mentioned before when the VIX spikes close to an all-time high, we buy. And if you want, go to my website, haroonventures.com, and at the top, search for VIX for a video on that. So again, when the VIX is at an all-time high, that's when you back up the truck. It doesn't happen that often, though. Number three, if you have owned speculative stocks for more than 1 year that are way, way past your target price, then take some profits. Now, why? Why am I saying that if you own it for more than 1 year? Well, the reason is because in most countries, you actually pay less in capital gains taxes if you profit from stocks you've owned for more than 1 year. It's basically a government economic incentive that forces us to be long-term focused because governments hate market volatility, which is what the VIX is based on. Now, later this year, I'm going to be releasing my complete options and derivatives course to explain this in much more detail. And of course, a much more comprehensive version of that course with more exercises will be added to my MBA degree program this year. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to grab some water here. All right. How do we ask our boss to let us continue to work from home after the COVID crisis has subsided? Well, we need to actually ask quickly because we might not ever get an opportunity like this to make the case for working remotely. It could happen. A lot of people are going back to work now, and in hindsight, they wish they'd asked their boss if they could spend more time working at home. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you with an Excel template to download that will calculate the savings your company is going to enjoy from you working from home. And I'll actually explain how to download this free template and how to use this document to convince your boss to let you work from home in a minute. So give me 1 second. Now, in an email that Mark Zuckerberg just sent to employees, he said, I found that working remotely has given me more space for long-term thinking and helped me spend more time with my family, which has made me happier and more productive at work. Right? It's not just Facebook, though. Spotify is also letting all employees work remotely. And even Goldman Sachs, one of the oldest companies ever, is moving many of their traders from New York City to Florida to save money. And a lot of companies have yet to decide if they want their employees to come back to work in the office on a part-time basis. So we need to act quickly if we want to influence our managers to let us work from home. And we can influence their decisions. Now, Warren Buffett once said, if the internet was created before newspapers, would the old school, bad for the environment newspaper industry exist at all? Also, I wonder if the internet was invented before Wall Street, would we still have too many financial services employees working in New York? And similarly, if work from home was created before offices, would we still spend 5 days a week in offices? No. So here's how we can make the case for working from home when you meet with your boss very, very soon. We got to quantify this, right? So what we're going to do together is we're going to look at my free tool I created yesterday for you to convince your boss that it makes sense for you to work from home, okay? And the way that you download this Excel template is you go to the following website. So let me go there with you. All right, so I'm going to go to, give me 1 second, guys. Browser. Here it is here. Yeah, okay. So to download this template, you go to haroon.education.com/WFH. Okay, that's work from home, all lowercase, WFH. Okay, and then you click here to download my 3-step work from home Excel templates. Okay, so let me actually show you how this is going to work. Here we go. Cool. All right. So when you download and open it, let me get center frame here. When you download it and open it, it looks like this here. Okay. So there's 3 steps, and these buttons here, if you press them, it'll take you down in the spreadsheet to that category. But let me show you what this means high level. So the end product of what you're going to do in this exercise, and I'll show you quickly here, is you're actually going to send this PDF, right? It's a 1-page PDF to your boss, or print it. But I prefer if you PDF, it's better for the environment, of course. And in this template, we've got extra money you've made for the company and savings you've enjoyed for the company over the past year. Now let me show you how this works. All right, so step 1 is this. Step 1 is I want you to select your country name. I've got every country in the world here. Okay, so let me just grab a random one. There we go, St. Lucia. Great. Okay, then after you select step 1, you'll see there's a ton of hyperlinks that will appear on the left side, which don't click yet. We'll get to in a second. But you can click these to get more information about how to save money from working from home in your country doing separate activities. And I'll explain that in a second. All right, now step 2 of 3 is this. What we're going to do is I want you to answer a bunch of questions. Okay, so the first part here asks you about revenue. Okay, and this is on a monthly basis, and you'll have this incredible aha moment in a minute. This will all make sense for you because the purpose of this document is to quantify how much money you're saving the company or making the company by working at home. So enter information in the white cells. So if you want, right here, you can enter in additional money that you've made the firm on a monthly basis while working from home. And all I want you to do is use the previous 30 days before today. So on my computer, the date is currently, what is it, the 17th. So the 30 days up to June 17th, how much more money have I made the company? So for example, maybe I sold an additional product, I'd enter here, to company XYZ. And I was able to do it because I had more time working from home, that sort of thing. I did this to be incremental. Then you enter in the dollar amount here, and then over right underneath my face here, you write an optional brief note. Okay, and so all that stuff that you enter in, what's going to happen is it's going to appear down here. And I've got auto calc turned off. I apologize. Here we go. Good. Yeah, so it'll appear down here. So if you made the firm an extra $5 this month from calling a certain client, then it'll be added up here. 5 times 12 is 60. Now let's look at car and transportation expenses, and this is the big one. So how much money are you saving the company, by you working from home? And this works if companies provide you with perks like free parking or subsidized transportation expenses. So you'll enter that here, the qualitative comment here. Then here you'll enter in the dollar amount, and this will annualize it as well. And if you want, you can click here on this link to help you understand how to save money on transportation when working from home in St. Lucia or whatever it was the country you entered in here. All right, and this works for every one of these questions here. Next up, you enter in childcare savings that the firm saves from you working at home. If the firm subsidizes childcare, they don't have to if you work from home. Then up here, this one's big, communications and computer savings right here that you save the company on a monthly basis. Okay, always on a monthly basis. Maybe they don't need to give you a phone or a computer because you work from home. Then other office equipment savings, office meals if they provide it to you, perks, etc., and the rent the company will save by not having you in the office. Okay, and other expenses here. And so the bottom line is that it actually creates for you a one-pager with all this stuff I just talked about. And the one-pager looks like this here. It's kind of small, but basically it's a nice one-pager that you can save as a PDF and send to your boss or give them when you meet with them. Now, one more thing I want to mention before moving on is that right here, you'll see a bunch of these minuses on the side. And so step 3 is get rid of the categories that are not relevant to you. And I'll show you how this works. So if we go down here, and childcare is not an issue at your company, they don't cover it, so it's a moot point. You click here to hide it, okay? And you go down here and you're like, office meals, they don't provide that either, Chris. You hide it. And then what happens is when you print it, it'll automatically only print the stuff that you see. Excel only prints what it can see when you use these groups here. So I hope this is helpful. I really do think that you can use this to quantify and convince your manager to actually let you work from home. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know, and thank you. Okay. And give me 1 second. I can get a little bit of water here. All right. All right, cool. Jose, how are you, man? I see you're on the call. Thank you. You're looking sharp. I have to try to play the part. I got to fake it till I make it, right? All right, let's now talk about what hedge funds mean when they say that there's a short squeeze, which obliterated many hedge funds over the past year when they were short AMC and GameStop. And a short is actually the opposite of a long. It's the opposite of owning a stock. And so when you own a stock, you're actually long the stock. And when you're short the stock, it's the opposite. Now, over the past year, hedge funds have shorted companies that were severely hurt by the COVID crisis. And hedge funds shorted movie theater companies and retail stores, which actually seems logical because if you think about it, those stocks should go down if everybody is at home and not allowed to go outdoors. However, if too many hedge funds short a company, then what happens is it becomes a crowded short. And if there's any slightly positive news on the company that they're short, then they can freak out and cover that short, meaning they get out of the short position. And if many hedge funds do this at the same time, then what happens is a short squeeze occurs. Basically, the stocks squeeze higher because hedge funds have to buy the stock and return it to whoever they borrowed it from. That's how a short works. Now, I don't recommend shorting stocks because your losses can actually be infinite. And I'm going to get to the short interest ratio here in a second. I don't recommend shorting stocks because your losses can be infinite if the stock goes up a lot. Instead, I recommend buying a put, which means you make a lot of money if the stock goes down a lot, but you only lose a small amount, the amount you pay for the put, if the stock goes up a lot. And I explain this in much more detail in my MBA degree program. Now, quite often, if a hedge fund is short a stock that goes up on bad news or it does not go down on bad news, then they panic and get out of the position. So what data can we monitor to understand if too many hedge funds are currently short the same stock? So there's something called the short interest ratio, which mathematically is the number of shares that are shorted in the market divided by the average daily trading volume. Okay? A higher number means there's a chance of a short squeeze. And when I worked in the hedge fund industry, I was terrified to short any stock with a short interest ratio above 10, meaning it would take 10 days of short covering until all the short positions are covered. Now, the short interest ratios on AMC and GameStop are relatively low right now because many hedge funds have already capitulated or given up on their shorts. But I'll show you where you can get the information and how to calculate it, which is not always reliable. Okay, and there's a bit of a lag to this data as well. But what I'm about to show you, you can use to directly understand if the short interest ratio on a company is well above or well below 10. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to very quickly look at AMC and GameStop's short interest ratios. So let me go over here, and I'll go and we'll take a look at, we'll use the browser actually up top. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go here to my favorite free website, which is finance.yahoo.com. Never pay for any of this stuff, please. All right, and then what we'll do is we'll go to AMC first, and I'll show you the short interest ratio, and I'll show you GameStop as well. Okay, AMC, a big movie company. You go here, first of all, to statistics. Okay. And then you go to short interest. So let me just do a search on short. Here we go. Cool. All right, so right here, you can see the short interest ratio, okay, and this is old data, okay, and they get this from Morningstar, which is a data service company. The short interest ratio is 0.67. And what that means is the number of shares that are short divided by the average daily volume is quite low. Okay, it's not exactly 0.67 according to this data, but I'll show you. So right here it says the share short is $102 million. Let's just say $100 million bucks. Okay, and that's the numerator. So let's find out what the denominator is, which is the average volume of shares traded daily. So what we'll do is we'll go here to summary, okay? And if we go down here, we'll see that the average volume is 146, call it 150 million shares. So 100 million shares, $100 million short divided by 150 million is well under 1. Okay, that's a short. That's a very, very small short interest ratio. It was way higher earlier this year and last year, of course, especially last year when hedge funds were short in size, but they've all given up, which is one of the reasons why the stocks have ripped to the upside. Lastly, I'll show you here quickly, and then we'll move on. GameStop, ticker GME. So with GameStop, if you go to statistics and you scroll down, you'll see here the short ratio. Where is it? It should be down here. Here we go. Here. Yeah. All right. So the short ratio right here is 1.83, well under 10 days. Okay, so 1.83. And the shares short are about 12 million shares. And if we go to the summary here to see the average daily trading volume, so 12 million divided by 10 million, it's above 1, but way, way under 10. Okay, so the bottom line is that if a stock goes up on bad news or had a very, very high short interest ratio, then hedge funds could panic and get out of their short position, which could squeeze the stock higher, which is absolutely terrifying for hedge funds. I know that because I've lived it before. All right, give me 1 second. Let me go back. Actually, let me go back. I want to go back in the slides. It looks dope. I'm going to get some water first, though. All right. Let's talk about Microsoft's brilliant long-term video game market strategy. Now, it's no secret that the PlayStation 5 has had a much better traction than the new Xbox, which doesn't have as many proprietary titles. But Microsoft is actually the only company that can merge PC gaming with Xbox console gaming with cloud gaming, which would allow gamers to actually play online together on PCs, Xbox consoles, and on televisions, okay, which is coming soon, given Microsoft's incredible Azure cloud computing offering. Now, Satya Nadella was such a brilliant choice to be the CEO of Microsoft, as he basically created Microsoft's cloud division called Azure. And it's a brilliant choice also for Jeff Bezos to appoint the next Amazon CEO named Andy Jassy, as he actually created Amazon's cloud-based AWS offering. So what's coming next with Microsoft is cloud-based video game streaming, okay, which will eventually be bundled into televisions, kind of like what we have now with Netflix bundled on many TVs. So we all watch Netflix on our tablets, our TVs, and computers, and Netflix always knows where we left off, so we can continue watching shows on many devices. And this is what Microsoft is aiming for, with the lines being blurred between Xbox, PC, and streaming gaming on many devices. And I often say that in venture capital and with publicly traded companies, that the crown jewel of investments is platforms. And with Microsoft, we're about to see the convergence of many platforms with their gaming strategy. And I actually asked my kids, what is Microsoft? And they say that their response is that it's a gaming company that owns Minecraft. So Microsoft bought the parent company of Minecraft called Mojang many years ago. And I wrote in a guest column of mine in Wired Magazine and in VentureBeat as well that this was one of the most brilliant and long-term focused platform acquisitions by Microsoft since they bought MS-DOS. Because Minecraft it's kind of like a Microsoft software development platform for kids. Because what they do is they architect these incredible masterpieces. And there are switches in the game that open doors and fire missiles. And basically, this is if-then logic statements for future developers. As future software developers' tools are going to be much more visual. So it's a brilliant move by Microsoft. It's kind of like the brilliant move of credit card companies, allowing a lot of students in universities to get credit cards. They're very, very long-term focused. Now, in my MBA degree program, we actually do a case study on Apple potentially buying Nintendo, which could make a lot of sense. And There's also a lot of gamification in my MBA degree program as well. And although I love Microsoft's long-term gaming strategy, I'm always going to remain a PlayStation fan. All right. Why has Goldman Sachs been very successful for many, many decades? Well, the answer is because their interviewing process is incredibly thorough. And as a result, the jerk factor is relatively low at Goldman Sachs compared to some other investment banks. And we know that one jerk on a team can destroy the productivity of an entire department or company even. And that guy is really, really stressing me out. All right. So Goldman Sachs certainly does not hire the smartest people because they hired me, and I worked there for 5 years. But in the interview process, it's not uncommon to go through 40 interviews, which humbly actually helped me to create my online complete job course, which I'll give to you for free today if you want. And what you can do is you can actually go to this web address right here. Okay, so haruneducation.com/complete job, all lowercase, to get my complete job course for free. Now, at Goldman Sachs, they say that they are long-term greedy because being long-term focused in business is a recipe for success. Now, when you interview at a company, you have to explain why you are a good fit, of course. And a great way to articulate this is to do research on a company's corporate culture. So let's do a quick case study in a second on Goldman Sachs's 14 principles, okay, and how preparing for an interview using a company's corporate culture principles on their website can really, really help us. Okay, so what we'll do is we are going to do a search for Goldman Sachs 14 principles. Let me go over here. Here we go. So let's do Goldman Sachs 14 principles. Okay. Here we are. And this is on Goldman Sachs' website right here, our business principles. And a lot of companies have these as well. But you got to review these things before you interview. I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, but I'll go through quick highlights. So the 14 principles with Goldman Sachs, this sets their corporate culture. Okay. Their clients always come first. Okay. A company is only as good as its customer service, which is why Goldman and companies like Amazon are so successful. They put their clients first, as do I with my students. Okay, humbly. They also stress teamwork in everything they do. Everything they do. Okay, so what you do is you go through these and you try to understand what are some things that you've done in your career that you can highlight in the interview that incorporate some of these buzzwords or part of the corporate culture that they have right here. Okay. So if you thoroughly research what the corporate culture is of a company, then what you can do is you can assess if the firm is a good fit for you. Remember, you're interviewing them as well. Okay. So, and also doing this process here, this can help you architect your response to questions in an interview. And when I answer interview questions, I would always ask myself the so what test, which is something I came up with. It's a little bit silly, but I'm a big lover of music. But Miles Davis created this great album called Kind of Blue. And there's one song on it called So What. And so what I do whenever I create content for my students, like these weekly webcasts, I answer questions, I always ask myself, so what? How can this help my students take their career to the next level or make more money when they invest? By the same token, when you're interviewing, everything you answer, you have to say "so what" to yourself first. Okay, and the reason that I say that is so that when you answer questions, I want you to emphasize their corporate culture, like giving examples of your work or life experiences that mention keywords that we saw there, like teamwork or customer service or ethics. Because as Sun Tzu in The Art of War wrote, every battle is won before it's been fought. Now, I recommend, and this is what I've done for years, I recommend writing down at least 100 questions that interviewers can ask you. And I want you to practice answering the questions by recording yourself. Okay? And it's not just what you say from a so what perspective in your answers. It's also your body language. It's crucial, as is your delivery. And Maya Angelou once said that people might not remember what you said, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. Now, when you watch yourself being recorded and answering questions, I want you to watch to see if you're too monotone with your voice or if you're too arrogant or speaking too quickly. You can also practice using a lot of frameworks, which I provide in my MBA degree program, many more frameworks than in that free course. And these frameworks I actually call crutches. Okay, and here's a prop I have here. Okay, and if you find yourself kind of stuck, you can use crutches. What do I mean by this? Well, there are frameworks that I provide you with. And in my MBA degree program, I provide you with a gazillion frameworks. So, for example, there's something called the SWOT analysis, SWOT. And that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if somebody asks you a business question and you want to buy time so you can think of the answer, you can use one of the crutches for SWOT. You can answer the question as follows. Sure, that's a great question. In terms of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, let me kick it off with the strengths. The strengths of that company are blah, 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 blah. Moving on to, these are transition words that are crutches too. Moving on to the weaknesses, which are blah, 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 blah. In terms of the opportunities, blah, blah, blah. And lastly, the threats. And what I did there was I bought myself time to think of the answers by using a crutch. And by using a crutch as well, it made it look like I knew what I was talking about, which isn't true, whatever. But it made it look like I am able to structure my answers properly. Okay, and if you find yourself rambling, you can always say the bottom line is, and then provide a quote or summarize what you're talking about. So the bottom line is that when it comes to interviewing, every battle is won before it's been fought. All right, let me put this down. Almost done here. I'll take your question in a second. Thank you. All right. Apple doesn't trust Facebook, and we should not either. So Apple recently added a new privacy feature to their iPhone operating system that kind of limits Facebook and other companies' abilities to target us through ads or sponsored stories. And that's a great thing. And I actually personally blame Facebook for encouraging Americans to become either more right-wing or more left-wing. And Facebook does this by showing you videos and advertisements that appeal to your political interests, therefore making people much more extreme in their political party affiliations in general. And Facebook's algorithm knows if you are a Democrat or a Republican based on your posts, your likes, etc. And this is very dangerous, as the country is actually more conflicted today than at any point in history, going back to maybe the hippie movement in the 1960s when they used to say, don't trust anybody over 30. Now, I believe in freedom of speech, but I don't believe in artificial intelligence-based algorithmic manipulation and magnification of our political affiliations. And so I say, good for you, Apple, for Heismaning Facebook's sponsored stories advertising targeting process. So Apple's certainly not perfect, but I do commend them for their enhanced privacy strategy, which I think is quite noble and sincere as well. Yeah. And part of me feels that if you love this country as I do, then perhaps we should pressure companies to consider boycotting Facebook entirely. But it's hard to boycott Facebook. I'm conflicted, right? It's tough because, and this is going to blow you away, but 44% of the planet uses at least one Facebook product every single month. And so for large corporations to boycott this platform, some might feel it's fiscally irresponsible. And so it's actually a very, very tough call. But it might be the right decision to boycott Facebook. And I actually don't post on Facebook personally anymore, but it's so hard, man, to ignore that 44% statistic. It's kind of like it's hard for Microsoft to not think about censorship by allowing Bing to be in China. And I don't believe in censorship, obviously. But I think the solution is that companies limit their use of advertising on Facebook until the company, kind of strips away all of their abilities to magnify our political differences. And it's actually interesting because many people actually get depressed after using Facebook because it's not reality. As people, they post about happy things and their new material purchases in many cases. And so people have this false sense of reality when using the platform. And I love what Apple has done, making a stance against Facebook. And I really hope other large companies do the same. And 10 years ago, actually, my hero, Sergey Brin, who's the co-founder of Google, he pulled out of China. He pulled Google out of China because of a lack of freedom of speech. And I see Apple's recent privacy update as a more benign jab at Facebook as well. Now, I think ultimately politicians will find a way to regulate Facebook. Potentially the EU will do so, along with United States regulators. And until then, I don't think we can trust Facebook. What does it mean when a bank's analyst upgrades a stock to a buy or downgrades a company to a sell? Well, this means that the bank's analysts' estimates of future earnings in their financial model has changed a lot, or the stock price has changed a lot as well. Now, companies like Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs, they have these analysts that cover different sectors, like the automotive sector or the hardware sector or the software sector, for example. And the analysts usually have ratings of sell, meaning they think the stock is at least 15% overvalued, or they have a neutral rating, which means the stock is more or less priced correctly according to their research, or they have a buy rating, which means that they think the stock is about 15% or more undervalued according to their financial models. And what happens is these analysts actually change their ratings quite often after a company releases earnings reports. And these earnings reports contain the latest financial statements from companies. And what happens is the companies take those new financial statement details and they put them into their Excel financial models. And this can cause the analyst's future earnings estimates to rise or fall. Now, should you buy or sell a stock when an analyst upgrades or downgrades a stock? Heck no. Always do your own research by creating and updating your own financial model, which I teach in my MBA degree program. Because if you do the investment research yourself, then you won't panic and sell at the worst time. And you won't just be renting the stock, and you'll end up not being a tourist in the stock at all. Always do your own research. Also, when these analysts or CEOs get on television, they are so convincing. And that is the reason they became CEOs or the reason they became analysts, because they can sell their opinions. And the worst thing investors can ever do is to watch a CEO or an analyst being interviewed and then buy the stock without doing any of our own research. Now, we have to understand that there's tremendous bias from CEOs and analysts. CEOs are positive all the time as they're amazing salespeople. And analysts are biased, even though, the big banks say they're not. So let me give you an example. I pride myself on giving you examples from my real-life practical experience instead of theory. So the example is this. In 2012, Morgan Stanley's software analyst, I think his name was Adam Holt, great guy. He quit Morgan Stanley to go work with Frank Quattrone in banking. And so Morgan Stanley called me, and they asked if I wanted to be their software analyst. And I said, thanks a lot, but no thank you. And I also told them that I'll get you a list of potential people that I think are great for the job. And so I hung up the phone and I called a good friend of mine who's an excellent software analyst at a very small firm. And I said, hey man, Morgan Stanley is hiring a software analyst. Can I introduce you to them? And he said, Dude, I would love that job, but they'll never hire me because I once had a sell rating on Microsoft. Why did he say that? And I'm not sure I agree with him, as Morgan Stanley is ethical, but investment banks make a lot of money when large companies hire them to do investment banking work and mergers and acquisitions work. So if an analyst at a large bank is too negative on a large company, and that large company does a lot of M&A investment banking work, then that large company might be a little bit more biased to not hire that investment bank. So as a result, a neutral rating on large stocks is kind of like a sell rating at a lot of these investment banks. Now, we can't rely on analysts ever to do our investment homework, okay, because they are biased, kind of like how hedge fund managers or mutual fund managers are biased when they go on TV and they say great things about a stock. Well, they say great things about a stock, obviously, because they own the stock. And yes, they even disclose this on television, but they are great salespeople, which is how they became successful. Now, in my MBA degree program, what I do is I provide my students with many investment templates and tools to help you do your own research on stocks from scratch. So here's one of the many templates that I made in the program. So let me show you here, actually. Let's go there together. This will be fun. All right, so let's go to, and hold on one second here, folks. Okay, cool. So I'll go over here to Excel. Yeah. So this here is a template I created based on my research working in the hedge fund industry as a retail investor, working in venture capital, working in consulting, as well as working at Goldman Sachs, okay, and my MBA in finance from Columbia. So this template, which I provide all my MBA degree students, and if you're currently taking my program, we start covering this in the 4th semester in the economics management and strategy track. But I ask you 100 questions, okay, and this size of the spreadsheet's only 30 megs. I'm such a nerd when it comes to technology. I love creating these things and optimizing them. But basically, there are a bunch of questions that I ask you, okay? And these here are qualitative questions about the company, okay? These here are quantitative questions about the company. And these here are financial questions about the company. And we cover everything there is to know about investment research. And so as you go through this spreadsheet and answer the questions, what happens is it automatically gets populated, and this is just dummy data in here, but it automatically gets populated into a bunch of charts here, okay? I love dashboarding. And there's no macros in this. There's no code, right? I don't believe in code because macros creates viruses. And what's also populated is a one-page executive summary of the report. It's all automatically fed into here with close to 1,000 fields. Okay, and this one pager here, and you might have seen this in my other courses, right? This is just the fundamentals, valuation, and technical side of it. What's incremental about this, that's not my other courses, is a detailed 150-page report comes out of this as well. So the bottom line is that this is one of many tools in your toolbox or hours in your quiver from a frameworks perspective that I provide you with my MBA degree program, because I humbly believe instead of telling my clients or students, same thing, how to fish, I like to teach them how to fish instead of providing them with a fish. I'm really butchering this quote, guys, because if you give a person a fish, they'll eat for a day, but if you teach a person how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. Thank you. All right. It is that time again, folks. It is time for Q&A. And you all know how it works. What you do is you type your questions there in YouTube, and I answer the questions in the order in which I receive them. And if I miss your question, just let me know. I do miss them sometimes because I have senior moments. The older I get, the better I was. And also, YouTube actually won't let you put in hyperlinks. They actually strip it out. All right. Let me go over here. And let me just get rid of one screen here. Okay, good. A lot of technology went on today. All right, first of all, I got Jack Sparrow, who wrote, "Hey, Chris, have a nice day. Likewise, great to see you." And then you wrote here, "I always feel like I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. What are your thoughts on how we can master a skill?" Yeah. And what happens quite often is a lot of people will start their own companies. And they'll start their own companies because they work for a schmuck or somebody else, might be nice, that pays them only a little bit of money. and they feel they can make a lot more money doing their own thing. And so what happens is you start your own company and you don't realize that you have to be really good at a lot of things, including selling and raising money. And you realize that you can't just be a master of one trait to be successful starting your own company. And so failing to plan is planning to fail. And in my MBA degree program in the third semester, we have a venture capital boot camp. So I help you architect your business plans. You don't spend a penny on a company before launching it. Yeah. Even after launching, actually. I believe in leverage. Yeah. But in terms of how to become a master at one thing, you got to make sure that you're first of all passionate about whatever it is you want to do. Okay. It can't feel like work. If it feels like work, you won't be successful at it, because there are a billion people out there doing the same job that are very passionate. And when you're passionate about something, you're 10 times more productive. And here in Silicon Valley and venture capital, we always say the difference between an average engineer and an excellent engineer is literally 10x in performance. And the excellent engineers that mastered their traits, they're passionate about it. They love it. You know, coding for them is like a video game. They absolutely love it. So you got to be passionate about it. Now, the way to find out if you're passionate about something is if you ask yourself, if I was given a month off and I can't travel and I can't go to work, and I can't go to school, what would I do with my time? Whatever that is, and I don't care what anybody tells you, that's your passion. That's what you're meant to be doing. So how do you skill up, so to speak? Well, you can learn skills online, obviously, by taking online courses. And great online courses all have 30-day money-back guarantees. And what you can do if you want to is there's this amazing woman named Angela Yu, and I recommend her courses to everybody. And Angela, actually, let me try to show you here. So Angela Yu, she used to be a teacher, or used to be a doctor in England. And now what she does is she actually teaches full-time online on Udemy how to code. And her courses are great. She runs circles around me always. So what you can do is do a search for Udemy, Angela Yu. Okay, and I don't get brownie points for mentioning this stuff. It's an algorithm on Udemy. If my courses suck, many of them do, they won't sell. And many of my courses don't sell. But if you want to learn about coding, you can take courses from Dr. Angela Yu. All right, so you can take her courses on, how to code Python or how to create websites and do more advanced stuff with websites as well, with coding, iOS as well. And if you enjoy her courses and online courses in general, and it doesn't feel like work to you, then that is your passion, and that is what you should do, and that is what you are meant to be doing. Okay. All right. Next up, I've got a lot of keyboards here going on. Grab my main keyboard here, main. I put this on the back because when I do Zoom calls, this happens to me all the time too. People say, please, you're on mute, Chris. Yeah. All right, next question. Hari wrote, what do you think about alternative medicines like pranic healing and Aru healing as well? I've never heard of that word. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So I'm not a doctor, but I do biohack a lot, right? And so the foods that I consume, I've been experimenting with for years. They're all organic stuff. The same thing with vitamins. I take a ton of vitamins and herbs as well. And if you want to learn more about life extension, then you can read books or watch videos by the head of engineering at Google, a brilliant man named Ray Kurzweil. And I actually take his vitamin supplements as well for prolonging life and anti-aging. You can't slow down aging, or you can't stop aging or reverse aging, I should say. You can't reverse age. I'm getting old, man. Can't you tell? The older I get, the better I was. I had a senior moment there. You can't stop aging or reverse aging, but you can slow it down. What an oxymoron. And I'm the moron here. My goodness. Yeah. All right. And before you hack around with your diet too, I recommend talking to a nutritionist or a doctor, which is what I've done. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Hari wrote, happy morning, Chris. Likewise, same to you, brother. Is it okay to take a break from a job you don't like to search for my passion, as I'm 25 years old only, but not with much commitments. There's nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. Now, if you have the luxury of being able to take time off, if you're burned out, if you don't like what you're doing, I recommend doing it. And I actually did this in 1997. In the summer of 1997, I was 25 years old. I worked at Accenture, and I was kind of burnt out. And there was something missing inside of me. I had this entrepreneurial itch, and I wanted to give back as well. And so I talked to my boss in human resources, and I took a 6-week leave of absence, unpaid, of course. And I created a charity called Canadian Internet Charity Consulting. And that really helped me to unburn out, so to speak, and more importantly, find myself and understand why I was put on this planet. I want to teach. I wish I started teaching many, many years ago. So there's nothing wrong with that. Now, one thing I do recommend, if you are going to take a leave of absence, this goes to everybody, don't ever do it over 2 years. Let me explain what this means. So don't take a leave of absence from December 1st to January 20th, because that looks like 2 years on a LinkedIn profile or a resume. Do it within the calendar year. Kind of like if you start a new company in November and you hate it, wait till January to quit, so that when you look at your resume, it looks like you were there for more than one calendar year. Yeah. And obviously, if they ask you which months you were there, you tell them the truth. All right, next up, ePronto is saying, good morning, Chris, and to all your audience, beautiful day in Toronto. I love that. ePronto, Toronto. Yeah, excellent. And that's a quote from a great movie where America, in this movie, wanted to invade Canada. It's a comedy. And I think it's called Canadian Bacon, eh? Yeah. Yeah, but the President of the United States in that movie said, we're going to take over Toronto pronto. So ePronto from Toronto wrote, your MBA program becomes increasingly inspiring. Thank you. Appreciate that. I can attest that mentoring is beneficial to mentees and mentors alike. Absolutely. Because when one teaches, two learn. Yeah, you got to find Yodas, and you have to Yoda other people as well. And then you wrote, I have certain pro success and it inspires me a lot while mentoring others. Yes, it's so true when you help others, man. It's kind of like when we were younger, and one of our buddies had issues in math or whatever, and you're studying for a test, and you help them, which happened to me maybe once, helping someone, because I wasn't that smart. But you help them, and by helping them do better on the test, you're helping yourself. When one teaches, two learn. Next, Peyton, how are you, man? Peyton is one of my amazing MBA degree program students. He's in the United States Navy. He's had amazing work experience. Good dude. He's an expert in technology and camera work as well, and a great guy. Yeah. And so Peyton wrote, the man is the real deal. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. God bless you. Currently, I'm in his MBA program, and I've been doing one-on-ones with him, and I've had many hours of conversations. He is an amazing man that goes over and beyond his students. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. And then Peyton wrote, question, can I get my money back? No, I'm just kidding. No, he didn't write that. Sorry. I love you, brother. Question, you teach a lot on what to do when it comes to interviews and conversations, but I'd also like to hear your perspective on what not to do, and maybe some horror stories. Let's go. I love it. Yeah. So, oh my God, I could tell you some horror stories. Okay. So I never put down a language on a resume unless you're completely fluent. I had a buddy of mine, Dave, I went to McGill with him. Great guy. Who's one of my drinking buddies. Yes, I said that. No regrets. But he went to an interview with AT&T at McGill, and he wrote down French on his resume. And so the interviewer was interviewing in English and said, oh, looks like you speak French. Let me get the French interviewer. And the French interviewer interviewed him. And he was like, bonjour, petit déjeuner, grasse matinée. I can't do it. And he walked out. Yeah. So whatever you put down your resume, just understand every line item they're going to ask you about thoroughly. Aside from that, dress for success. Dress the way you're supposed to. And I'm going to make an idiot of myself telling you what happened with me. So the way to know what to wear in an interview, by the way, is if you go to the website of the company interviewing you and you go to the About section, you can see what people are wearing. Or you can go to their LinkedIn profile to see what people are wearing. Now, I remember I interviewed with Microsoft, and I wanted to work at Microsoft more than anything. I knew everything about Bill Gates. I told myself I would meet him one day, and I met him a couple times. I had lunch with him, nice guy. But I remember it was 1993. I was at McGill University, and I got an interview with Microsoft. I was so excited. So I went to the computer science building. I showed up early, and I was in my best suit I bought from Harry Rosen with a red tie and double-breasted, and I'm dating myself. And I'm waiting for the interview to start, man. And, the interviewer didn't show up, and I'm waiting, and finally, 10 minutes after it's supposed to start, the garbage lady walked in. I don't know, I wanted to help, and like I always do, I looked down at the garbage, and I said, la poubelle, which is, it's a funny word in French. Poubelle is garbage. And I gave it to her, right? And she had awful clothes and stuff. And she goes, no, I'm actually from Microsoft, and I'll be interviewing you today. So I didn't get that job, but we had a good laugh. Yeah. All right. Next up, ePronto wrote Yahoo Finance article this week. 60-40 rule of investing is dead. Why? The simple explanation is that bond yields today are minuscule compared to the yields of yesteryear. Thoughts? Yeah. Usually what happens is this. On Wall Street, people that work in the hedge fund industry, hedge fund stocks, not bonds, in the hedge fund industry with stocks, they always have buddies, the good ones, okay, the successful hedge fund people, always have buddies that are experts and work in fixed income, meaning bonds. Because what happens is the bond market usually leads the equities market. And in 2008, if you had buddies that worked in fixed income in the bond market, then they could have helped you out go short in 08, which is what I did as well. But I do think, though, that the bond market is always going to lead the equities market. And the way to know what interest rates are going to be, and I'll do this really quickly because I've done this before, the way to know is what you do is you go to the Treasury website. Okay, so let me go here to Treasury. And this is the United States government website. Okay, obviously, treasury.gov. And then what you do is you click right here on data, and then you go to the daily yield curve. Okay, and this is where you find out what interest rates are going to be, okay, or what the market thinks they are going to be. And you got the 30-year and the 1 month as well, and this creates a yield curve. And I've talked about that in previous vlogs. You can always do a search on my YouTube channel for that. Yeah, but what's different this time is that because of COVID and because economic growth has been anemic in many countries. In fact, in the United Kingdom, in the first or second quarter of last year, in the United Kingdom, revenue for the country, meaning GDP, contracted 20% year over year, and that's never happened before. Even going back to when the Germans were bombing London in World War II, growth was not that bad even. And so globally, you have awful growth. And as a result, many countries are making interest rates low for an extended period of time to help everybody else out. And so that's why rates are quite low now. I think rates will rise eventually. I really, really do. And I'm seeing inflation everywhere. And the government's doing the right thing. You got to think about bias and why people say what they say. So the government doesn't want to get up there and say, now it's time to panic. And so they get up there and they say, don't worry, inflation is okay, right? Even though it's not. I mean, look around you. Prices of used cars are up 10% month over month, which is a record. You can't get chips. Secondhand products are more expensive than buying new ones because you can't buy new products. So go to eBay and sell all your used stuff now. Yeah. All right. Next up. And I'll ask the question about the MBA program in a second. Okay, very, very soon. Which it's one person wins my $999 MBA every week. And I ask a question at some point in the webcast, and whoever answers it correctly wins. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Prakash wrote, "Good morning, Chris. Good morning. My question for today is, how do I remain focused and motivated when things are not going my way? This is when the mind tends to get heavily distracted and wanders, looking at every opportunity. How do we keep it disciplined and focused on one single item?" Yeah. And so I spent most of my life exactly like that. I am you. What your mind is telling you subconsciously is you have not found your passion yet. Right? You haven't fell in love with what you're supposed to be doing in your life, your passion, your purpose, your raison d'être. So I wouldn't beat yourself up about it. I would keep setting up informational interviews using the methodologies I explained in previous webcasts with people that work in different industries until you meet with somebody, and when they tell you what they do, for you it feels like a passion, not a job. And so for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was younger, and I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know why. But then I met with lawyers, did informational meetings with them. I was like, dude, your job sucks. I didn't say that, but I was thinking that. Yeah. So just do a lot of informational meetings. And it's kind of like true love, man. You'll know when you find it. You'll have those butterfly feelings, and you'll find this job that makes you so happy. And whatever that is, and I don't care what it is, I should say, you shouldn't care what other people think about you. I want you to run after it. Run after it. Yeah. Because if you chase money your whole life, and I know we have to provide, but at some point later on, it can't just be about money. If you chase money your whole life, you'll lose your money and your dreams. But if you chase your dreams, and you're willing to fail a bunch of times, something wonderful happens. Your dreams come true. That's like a Hallmark card, man, what I just said there. I don't know what's more cheesy, my quotes or the way I'm dressed today. Yeah. There's a lot of fromage everywhere. Yeah. All right. And by the way, when you guys go, when you guys have Zoom meetings and whatnot, because there's lights, what happens sometimes is your face gets shiny, and I'm going to show you how to stop this, right? So I had asked my wife about this, but when you have lights and you're in an interview, right, on Zoom, which is the new reality, you can buy these products here. So this is called oil control film. It's clean and clear. That's what it's called. There's a lot of knockoffs as well. And you take this and you just kind of wipe where you're kind of shiny, like that. See? And it gets rid of the shine. And my nose too, because I've got the world's biggest nose, which is aerodynamic. So when I ski, I'm a badass skier. It's aerodynamic, yeah. So you use this product here. Then what you do also is, and when you get this makeup stuff, you got to make sure it matches your skin color. I didn't know that, but yeah. And then you take it and you just kind of put it on just quickly so that you don't, you're not shiny. So that's a makeup lesson for y'all today. Yeah. All right. Also, what you can do is before an interview, just so you don't sound tired, you can buy Vocal Zone. I feel like I'm on the Truman Show, that great movie from '98. Yeah. I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor will I ever be. Yeah. All right. Next up, I've got, and also a way to become more disciplined and get more done every day is if you schedule every day, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And you know what it's like? You go on vacation and you can't even find time to exercise, but you're not really doing anything. And so if you want, you can go and download a daily schedule product I have for you for free. Just go to haroonventures.com/ all lowercase schedule. And I have a higher end version of that for my MBA students as well in the program. Yeah. The Aqua Hood, how are you? The Aqua Hood is Michael from the United Kingdom. Great guy. He's been on my webcast for the past couple of years. Love him. And Michael actually went to school and grew up with Sacha Baron Cohen, the Borat dude. And I asked him, I said, what was he like growing up? And he said, Sacha Cohen was very, very generous. And I said, give me an example. And so he said that his mom, Sacha Baron Cohen's mom, would have to come over to Michael's house every now and then and knock on the door and say, can we please get, Sacha's toys back? Because Sacha Baron Cohen was so generous, he used to give all his toys away to all of his friends. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's successful. If you give, you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. We're all here to serve others. Yeah. And by the way, this is, see if you can see this. And this autofocuses on my face, so I got to come in close. But this here is, it's a controller I bought, matte black, which I love matte black for my PS5. Yeah. And there's a lot of gamification in my program as well. Yeah. The MBA program, that is. All right. So Michael wrote, hey, Chris, do you believe in this money reset theory? I hear a lot these days. I think it's paranoid nonsense and would only set wars off left and right and center. And who needs that? The money reset theory, I've never heard of that before. Please let me know what it is, and I'll humbly give my thoughts on it. Thank you. All right, but I do believe that this and this is just play money for one of my courses. I do believe that this is finally being disrupted, finally, by cryptocurrencies, right? So these things are regulated by governments. Cryptos are regulated by the laws of mathematics. And it's about time we had some competition for these things. This thing, by the way, the U.S. dollar, and again, this is fake, okay? The U.S. dollar is going to morph into a crypto over time. And actually, this summer, Jerome Powell, government official in charge of rates, he commissioned a study that MIT is working on as well on the future of the U.S. dollar. And it's well known that study's out there, and that study will be done by the summer. And then within 2 years, I think there's going to be some sort of crypto-enabled features within the United States dollar. It's coming. But the United States is watching China closely first, as always, rightly so, because China is deploying their own cryptocurrency, but China is doing it the wrong way. It breaks my heart. My whole life we were moving more right wing, meaning away from discussing communism. And then, given COVID, a couple of countries are moving back that way, especially China, which does worry me. But China's new crypto, they're going to be able to track everybody's spending everywhere. And in China, they already have cameras everywhere that can track hundreds of millions of people, their movements, facial detection. And it's very Orwellian. Yeah. But I think the U.S. government will watch China to see how their crypto offering goes first. Yeah. All right. Colin wrote, greetings, Chris. It's great to be here. Likewise. I hope you're doing well, man. Next up, I've got E. Pronto from Toronto, who wrote, what is the point in companies' logos with hidden symbols, like an arrow in FedEx or Haroon Ventures? If you don't see it until it's told, it's a waste of time and money to design such a logo. Yeah. It's fun. From a branding perspective, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with subconscious. The subconscious. So Sir Isaac Newton, he was the guy that kind of came up with the idea of the color wheel. This is after he invented gravity. Before then, we floated. But he created the color wheel, and the color wheel is really important from a branding perspective, and it's easy to use. And let me show you exactly how right now. Okay. So if we, and this will make sense with brands in a second. So we go to the color wheel. Sorry, Michael, I'm spelling it the American way without the U. All right, so basically what Sir Isaac Newton realized is that when you take light and you put it through glass, you get a color spectrum. And this is right before Isaac Newton wrote Dark Side of the Moon, that great album. But you can use a color wheel to help you with colors in your presentation. I'll explain exactly how. Okay, opposites attract. Okay. So opposites is a good one. So if you look at opposites like green and red, okay, companies use that in their brands. So the logo for 7-Up and Mountain Dew and 7-Eleven, they have green and red. It's just pleasing to the eye, apparently. Okay. Now, when it comes to Federal Express, they do blue and oranges sometimes. I've seen some of their logos, right? And those are opposites as well. And that's just what FedEx does. Now, in terms of the FedEx logo, with the arrow, in case people here aren't familiar with it, you'll see right here. Let me zoom right in here. Okay. So right here, you see this arrow here? It's very forward thinking. And with mine, there's with my website, and the way they designed my logo, I had a professional graphic designer do it. He said, Chris, what are your favorite colors? And I said blue for the Toronto Blue Jays, which always beat the New York Yankees, and then green, because I like the environment. And so this is what he did as well, which is kind of have fun with it. Yeah. But there are hidden meanings in a lot of logos as well. It's fascinating. And let me show you real quick. Hold on. You guys will love this. Okay. Hidden meanings in logos. All right. And I'll just show you here. Yeah. Let me find yeah. Okay, good. Here. So this here is the London Symphony Orchestra, LSO. This here is the Pittsburgh Zoo. You see the monkey and the lion. Pinterest has a pin in the letter P. Amazon is from A to Z, all your shopping needs. Tostitos, you've got two people here dipping a chip in salsa. And lastly, Baskin Robbins. You've got here 31 flavors. Right? There's 31 flavors at Baskin Robbins. Yeah. All right. Go back here. Okay. Next up, and we're at a record right now, 85 concurrent viewers. We've never had that many. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Cool. All right. Next up, Carolyn wrote, hey, Chris, what is the best way to move currency from Europe to North America? Yeah. Oof. I've done international wires between accounts, to my Citibank account in New York City, overseas. That's what I've done it. Yeah. But I'm sure that, and that was years ago, I'm sure you can use PayPal, although the fees are probably a little bit egregious. You could try that, or you can Venmo somebody. Or what you can do is just call the 5 biggest banks in your country and ask them, what are the fees for all of them on wiring overseas. Yeah. All right. Next up, JT, who's one of my MBA degree program students. JT is saying, hello, everyone. And JT, if you still have that Excel question that we talked about yesterday, let me know, please. Thanks. Okay. Next up, we got Raj. Raj wrote, good morning, Chris. I'm so grateful to you for doing such amazing work. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wish I've known you years ago. I was better years ago, because the older I get, the better I was. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. I wanted to know, how much financial knowledge does an individual specialized in cybersecurity need to know when aspiring for a leadership role like a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, in the future? Yeah. So I would say, obviously you have to know a lot. And there's a reason why a lot of CISOs are older people, because they've had a lot of experience over the years understanding security vulnerabilities. I would definitely learn the basics if you can. But more importantly, with any C-level position, it's all about selling yourself and relationships. And relationships are always more important than product knowledge. And in my MBA degree program, I help you understand how to network on steroids. You can find many, many mentors or Yodas that can help you rise up over time career-wise. Yeah. You have to be able to present well as well. You do, to be any sort of C-level executive. Yeah. All right, and then Raj wrote, once again, thank you so much for your MBA program. I finally found my mentor for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. And Raj, go back to the personal growth lessons in the first semester. And when it comes to networking, that will help you a lot. Yeah. All right, next up we have Caroline. Let me know if it's Caroline or Carolyn. Yeah. So Caroline wrote, hey, Chris, my other question today is, when you buy into the stock market, let's say you buy some ETFs and the fee is 0.03%, how does the fee apply? On the gain when you pay? Thank you. Yeah. So it's embedded in the price. Yeah. Usually. And sometimes they charge you more, like if you pay commissions on a trade, they'll charge a little bit more as well. Yeah. And then every single year, they charge you the same amount. Yeah. So the same fee on the ETF. And the way to know what the fees on ETFs are, and I always recommend ETFs and never buy mutual funds, because mutual funds are a scam and they underperform. But whenever you look at an ETF, what you want to do before buying it is read the prospectus first, of course, but also I want you to look at the fee. So when you buy gold, and don't buy physical gold, always buy it here this way, because you know it's real and you can trade in and out of it quickly if you need to. But if we go here to profile, you'll see the expense structure here is 0.4%, right? And that's kind of high for an ETF. Usually I look for anything under 0.5%, but you're paying this every single year. Every year, yeah, and they'll deduct it from the price of the instrument. They can't go into your account and bill you extra for that fee. It's just the way it works. And there's ETFs for everything. So if you want to invest in Brazil, you can type here EWZ, right? So and if you want to invest in Canada, EWC. If you want to invest in USNA, SPY, etc. Yeah. All right. Get a little bit of agua here. All right. Next up, I've got Vero Xrod. Wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning. My question is, what do you think about DeFi? And do you think it's going to be bigger than Ethereum? Yeah. I kind of see Ethereum as part of DeFi. Okay, so DeFi, for those not familiar, stands for decentralized finance. And I think that, like, if you think about blockchain, it's kind of decentralized. It's everywhere in the cloud, right? And the way that blockchain works, for example, with Bitcoin, and blockchain basically for Bitcoin is like a digital ledger. Like in the old days, we used to write debits and credits in one of those books, right? Finance stuff. That's what blockchain is. It's decentralized. It's everywhere, right? There's millions of copies all over the internet, or lots of copies, and you actually download the whole blockchain. I've tried doing it years ago, but it's just too big now to download on my computer. It's decentralized. And when it comes to Ethereum, Ethereum is like Bitcoin, but so much more. Because Ethereum has, like Bitcoin, a digital blockchain, okay, a digital ledger, which is the blockchain, but it also is a platform, right? And so it's an incredible platform, Ethereum, that a lot of NFTs are launched on the Ethereum platforms. And also a lot of ICOs, or initial coin offerings, are done on the Ethereum platform. And so think of the Ethereum platform like any typical software platform like Microsoft Windows, etc., with DocuSign included, so that you can have legal contracts as well, and so much more. And the best investments in history are always platform-based. I've owned Ethereum forever, and I'm never selling. The same thing with Bitcoin, Ripple, I know. And Litecoin. Always do your own research first, please. And if you want to see me mining Ethereum live, if you want, you can go to my website /crypto, all lowercase. And then if you click here, you'll see my mining computer, which is upstairs. It's in Dylan's room now. He's taking care of my son, this guy here in the middle. And you can see here that we're currently mining Ethereum, okay, or Ether, which is on the Ethereum platform. And our balance is $230, and once it gets to about $500, which is 0.2 of an Ether, then I get paid. How do I get paid? Well, I get paid because it goes directly to my hot wallet on Coinbase. And so here, this is the address for Coinbase, and it gets deposited here directly. See if I can even show you Coinbase right here. Whoa. All right. Yeah, it's going to make me sign. Let me see if I can sign in here. It asks for like 8 million factor authentication. Keep me signed in. All right. Nah, screw that. It's going to take too long. But anyway, it automatically gets deposited for me every couple of months or so whenever I mine 0.2 of an Ether to my Coinbase account. Okay. All right. Next up, question is, how is different the Tether coin from other coins, and what do you think about the future of this coin? Thanks. Yeah. So Tether is kind of a placeholder. Let's say you own one cryptocurrency, and you want to. I'll give you a real example. Okay. Let's say that you go to one website where you can buy and sell cryptos, okay, or trade cryptos, and on that website, they only let you do two cryptos, Bitcoin and Tether. So you can convert Bitcoin to Tether, or vice versa. Okay. And then you go to another marketplace, right? And on that website, they only let you do Tether and Ethereum. So how are you going to buy Ethereum? Well, what you're going to do is on this platform here, which lets you transact in Bitcoin and Tether, you're going to convert Bitcoin and Tether. And then you're going to take the Tether over to this website here and convert that Tether to Ethereum. Yeah. It's like a placeholder. Yeah. All right, next up, Hijratullah wrote, "Hello, sir. I am Hijratullah Sadat from Afghanistan. Excellent. And my dad grew up in Egypt, and he always talks about Anwar Sadat, who's a brilliant man who tried to make peace with Jimmy Carter in Israel and the Middle East. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. It's great to see you, and welcome to the call. Welcome." And you wrote, "I'm glad to find you online for my online studies. I would like to study your MBA program. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you." All right. Next up, Casper wrote, "Hello to everybody. Good to see you. The Wolf of Udemy." Oh my God, that's you called me. Okay, that's all right. Leonardo DiCaprio did a much better job, but I'm more ethical than that guy, Jordan Belfort. Yeah. What do you think about yesterday's Jerome Powell speech, the current Fed policy, and overall view in the economy? Yeah. So the government kind of implied that they're not going to really raise rates until 2023. Right, and the U.S. economy is doing great. Things are a lot better now, and people are. I feel bad even saying it, but people are starting to go outside without masks and stuff. I went to get my hair cut the other day and didn't have to bring a mask. I feel bad because a lot of countries aren't there yet, and I feel bad for them. Yeah, but I think the United States government would have raised interest rates more so at this point. But given the fact that we're all connected globally, if the U.S. raises rates, it's going to hurt other countries more so that are still recovering from COVID, because we are so codependent. And so Jerome Powell kind of implied they'll raise rates in 2023. I don't believe it. I think they're going to raise rates earlier. But he's doing the right thing. And governments have to assuage concerns. You know, they have to maintain order and put on a brave face. Always. Always. Yeah. And so instead of raising rates in 2023, I think they're going to do it much, much sooner. Just because inflation's everywhere. It's around us. And if you have insane inflation over time, you don't have an economy. Yeah. But always question why people say what they say. What's their perspective? Yeah. All right. And Casper wrote, when can we expect your options course? Can you please tell us what we expect to learn from that course? Yeah, absolutely. So the complete options, derivatives, futures course is going to come out some point with this year. I'm working very, very hard on it. I've got an insane number of props, as I always do, including yo-yos to explain how stocks work and how volatility is great for options. I've also got a lot of commodities. I'm fake, obviously, here, a little bit of corn, yeah, that I'm going to be talking about in the course as well. It's going to be coming out, yeah, in the second half of this year. Yeah. But it's basically, and I'm having, I don't want to say issues with it, but I'm trying to, the way that options is taught, or derivatives in general, it's so confusing. You know, people just throw formulas at you and you're supposed to memorize it and just accept it. I don't want to just accept it, though. I want to teach it in a brand new way, right? So it's a groundbreaking way to teach humbly. I'm taking a lot of risks with it, like I always do. Hopefully it works out. We'll see. If not, you get your money back, yeah. Yeah, but if any of you want to transact in options, please do the following first. Okay, so what you can do is you can sign up for a free account, and I'll show you my account right here. Okay, so this here is owned by Ameritrade, and you can have live trading or paper trading. So I'll do paper trading right here. Okay, oops, this work? Goodness, let me try it again. Hold on. This is worth the wait. Hold on a second. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how to create a paper account. And so in many countries, you can download this product, Thinkorswim, which is made by a TD Ameritrade, very reputable country. If you can't do it in your country, maybe use a VPN, as long as you don't get in trouble for it, whatever. But anyway, right here, this is a paper simulated portfolio. Okay. And right here are options. Okay. So, here are options for Coca-Cola. These are calls in the money. These are puts in the money down here somewhere. You can also trade Forex. You could trade futures as well. There's so much more you can do. I know it looks intimidating. I know. But I'm going to teach this in such a way that you're going to completely understand it and love it. And derivatives are crucial. And I've lost a bunch of people on the call right there because derivatives can be boring and confusing. And I'm boring too. It's okay though. I get real-time feedback. But the derivatives market is 6 times bigger than the global stock market. And so if you want to learn about derivatives for free, you can go here, type in the name of any stock, okay, in Yahoo Finance. And then what you can do is go down here and click on options, right? And you can read through this data here, right? And so these are calls. And then down here are puts, way down if you scroll down. Okay, and if anybody has individual questions about that, let me know. But the bottom line is my options course will come out later this year. Thanks. Okay. All right. Suf wrote, are we chatting crypto? If you want to, sure. And then Manas from India wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. I hope all is well. Likewise. First of all, have you watched the movie Super 30 that I suggested 3 weeks ago? It's awesome. I have not yet. I'm so sorry. I've been jammed yet. Thank you, though. Yeah, but many of my students recommended a bunch of other movies. One of them called 3 Idiots, which everybody has to watch. It's a great movie. It'll change your life, especially if you have kids. George, how are you? George is one of my amazing MBA degree program students. He's from the great state of Texas. Don't mess with Texas. He's got an awesome setup at his house now with his new camera setup using his iPhone. Looks great. George wrote, greetings, Chris. Please talk about the concept of game theory. Additionally, please describe the characteristics of a good game theory practitioner. How does one learn game theory? Thanks. Yeah. So the best way to think about game theory is to think about chess, like Kasparov. I'm sure you guys are all watching that chess show on Netflix now. It's pretty good. But what game theory is it's kind of like if you're playing chess, you got to think a certain number of moves ahead of other people, right? And so instead of just one move, the best chess players in history, like Kasparov, what they do is they think multiple moves ahead. Okay, so that's what game theory is, right? That's basically it. And there's a bunch of other buzzwords like the null hypothesis and stuff that go with it that, quite frankly, aren't really helpful. Yeah, it's too theoretical. But that's what game theory means. And within a business perspective, game theory could be a company thinking a couple moves ahead. If say I'm Spotify, if Apple decides to, cut the price of Apple Music, what will we do, right? What's our next move? Do we cut, or do we, cry wolf to the DOJ and antitrust and try to have Apple broken up? That sort of thing. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, "You're looking really cool and professional in this suit." I think I wore a similar one a couple of weeks ago. You didn't like it very much, you said. Yeah. And you wrote, "Wear a black one next week. You'll look exactly like the president of HEV, Haroon Education Ventures." Yeah. He's kind of a fraud, though, that Chris Heroin guy. Yeah. And people never pronounce my name right. It's Haroon, Baboon. No, Haroon is correct. People used to call me Baboon when I was a kid. Yeah. Or we'll be out to dinner and they'll page us for our table. They'll say Heroin Party of 5. Heroin Party of 5. Jitendra wrote, "Hi Chris, what's the process of equity research for trading and investing?" Yeah. So when it comes to equity research, I would look more so at investing, because trading, when you think about research in general, it's looking mainly at fundamentals and then valuation, and a distant third is technicals. And so what I do in my MBA degree program is I actually teach you all this stuff as well, using tons of different templates. I think it's up top. God, I'm really not in my game today, guys. All right, so let me go up top here, and I'll show you equity research. Here you go. Good. Okay, it worked. Awesome. All right. So the way that equity research works is you do a lot of investment on qualitative, quantitative, and financial services, financial statements as well. And when you create a report, an equity research report, and this one's 150 pages for my MBA degree program students, it encompasses everything you could possibly think about, from a qualitative, quantitative investment research perspective and financial perspective as well. And George, if you're still on right there, those are chess pieces for game theory. That influenced me, and we'll cover that in the curriculum in semester 4. You'll see we're currently in semester 2 in the live version. But equity research, and many of you have seen this in my other courses, this is kind of a higher end version of it. You basically look at fundamentals, then valuation, then technicals, if at all. And I provide an option to even hide technicals here. If you don't want to include that, because and then when you hit print, it'll actually print it without that. So if I go here, without that component, yeah. So you see right there how there's no technicals included, just valuation and fundamentals. And the reason I have the ability to hide technicals there is because a lot of investors don't like you to look at technicals, like professional money managers, because it makes you too short-term focused. And as Warren Buffett said in summary, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. Yeah. All right, next up we got Dennis. And Dennis wrote here, "Hey Chris, just imagine that you own a B2B business to business, and you want to cold email other businesses. And businesses get emails like mine daily. How could I then differentiate myself from other people?" Yeah. So email died when it comes to just trying to get new customers decades ago. It's really, really hard. It's hard. What I recommend doing instead is using LinkedIn. And what you can do is go to my webpage, haroonventures.com, download my free book on how to network, and use what I teach you there. To hook up with people on LinkedIn, because everybody on this call, you have all opened every single LinkedIn email you've ever received. I know it to be true. but we certainly don't open most of our emails. And so as of today, LinkedIn is the best way to network and get customers, right? But you never want to just send someone a message and say, hey, want to buy my product? You know, you got to bond with them first. You know, I'd find a way to set up a Zoom call with them first and bond a little bit about what you might have in common with them first. Yeah. And then talk business later. And in my MBA degree program, I talk about that in a lot more detail. Yeah. All right. And then Dennis wrote, another question from me is, how did you find your strengths and your passion? Yeah. So I've always humbly loved to help people. And, you know, when I was younger, my dad's a doctor, my brother's a doctor. They're both radiologists, which means they fix radios. Sorry. That was first dad humor today, I think. But I didn't like, my dad said, Chris, I think you'd be a great doctor because you like helping people. And so I looked into it. I did informational meetings in hospitals, whatever. And I just wasn't passionate about all the blood and stuff, although I love helping people. And so I did something stupid, which is I got a bunch of jobs to impress other people. Like I went to Goldman Sachs, hedge fund industry, a hedge fund called Citadel, venture capital, etc. And my happiest day was always the first day, and it went downhill. And I thought, my goodness, am I clinically depressed? What is wrong with you, Chris? Why is my happiest day the first day always? And the reason is because I was doing what I was not passionate about. You know, I was trying to impress other people. And so one day I started, you know, during the evenings, I worked in venture capital full time, but during the evenings I would teach at a bunch of universities. It was just fun, you know, MBA school and undergraduate universities. And it was fun for me. And I loved helping people. And I always had more energy at night doing that. I was like, dude, I don't get it. How do I have more energy at night? I don't get it. And it was because I was doing what I loved doing. And so one day I said, as Sir Richard Branson says, screw it, let's do it. And I quit. And I started just teaching online. And everybody thought I was crazy. It was about 5 years ago. And when people think you're crazy, that's a good thing because it means you're early to the market. And then you get some success and they call you crazy genius. And then you get a lot of success and you're just genius. They still think I'm crazy though. All right. But I would always I remember when I worked in big companies, I would always, you know, people would say to me in my reviews, you're doing a great job, Chris, whatever, but can you maybe spend less time helping other people? And it's just something I enjoy doing. Jose, how are you? Jose is one of my amazing MBA degree students. He graduated last year. Jose is from Venezuela originally. He and his wife and daughter lived in New York City, in Brooklyn in the house. He has this great payments company. And then he moved down to Texas, I think. Don't mess with Texas. Yeah, I don't blame you, man. Taxes are great there. Yeah. So Jose wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm great, thanks. So glad to be here. Best teacher ever. Thank you. God bless you. Chris, what are you using as a background? So what's going on behind me here is actually just, it's just a white wall. Like what we did was I got a sheet and I stapled it to the wall. And then I've just got blue lights shining on it. That's it. Yeah. And I've got new lighting coming in a couple days, which has been back ordered forever because there's shortage of everything on this planet, which is going to make the backdrop look a lot better. And I've got a couple of GVM lights on each side. GVM stands for Great Video Maker. It's a company based here in San Francisco, I think. Yeah. All right. And the hue I'm using is 245. Yeah, for blue. Next up, I got great to see you, brother. And then you wrote, Chris, you look sharp. Thank you, man. I'm trying to play the part. I'm trying to fake it till I make it. Yeah. Even my hair's getting a bit longer here too. I got it cut by somebody for the first time in like 20 years. Yeah. All right. Victor wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you too. God bless you. God bless you way more, man. I'm a software engineer from Germany, ready to do an IT startup. Do you know someone who might aspire for the same and look for a co-founder? Thanks. Yeah. I currently don't in Germany, but what I would do is, if you want, you could take my MBA degree program and there's 30-day money back guarantee on everything I have. So you can take my courses and get your money back in 29 days. I don't care. I never see who asks for money back, right? So you can take my complete business plan course, or you can take my MBA degree program where I teach you in the venture capital boot camp in the third semester how to start a company. But when you're starting a company, you want to really assess your strengths and weaknesses, which I ask you about in the program. And then you need to find somebody to complete you. So, for example, if you're more of a business person or a salesperson, like Steve Jobs, but you're not a techie, Steve Jobs wasn't a super hardcore engineer, then you need to find your Wozniak, right? Steve Wozniak was the other half of Apple, the yin-yang completion. So it depends on what your skills are. Don't work with somebody that's got the same skills as you. Find somebody that helps to complete you, so to speak. Otherwise, there's no reason to have a partnership, because I think it's better to start a company by yourself than have partners. Okay. All right. And then next up, ePronto from Toronto wrote, on your comments regarding working remotely, as a senior leader in my organization, I can tell you there are many challenges with working remotely. My biggest is employment engagement and company attachment, myself included. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword. But for me, what I do is I have some of my employees send me a weekly email documenting what they've done every day. And I have other newer employees send me a daily email as well. I don't micromanage, but I have to at least be able to understand what people are doing. But they're happier this way. So Matt, one of my employees, Matt Lacus, who's my chief creative officer, great guy. You know, he lived here initially, and his girlfriend's in Iowa. He spends all his time in Iowa, and he's doing a great job. So I don't care. You know, and he's happy, and he's probably more productive if he's happier as well. Yeah. Next up, Mr. Nobody wrote, "Hey Chris, if I decide that I'll hold a stock for life, when I often buy more, what's the ideal percent drop I should add to the position?" Yeah. So when I used to manage money in hedge funds, I remember that when I started buying a stock, I would hope it would get murdered. And it's a weird thing to say, but the reason I say that is because you never buy a full position right away. And so for me, from a risk management perspective, I don't like any stock to be more than 5% of the portfolio. And so I like to buy slowly, opportunistically when the stock drops. And my favorite type of investments are broken stocks, right? But not broken companies. Meaning if a stock is broke a technical support level, and it's like catching a falling knife. I love that. I love buying into that as well. Screaming in the face of fear, screaming into the wind. Yeah. Because you have to be a contrarian, otherwise you can't make money in the markets. If you think like everybody else does, then I don't think you'll do well longer term. And Warren Buffett, he said that the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Yeah. All right. Next up, Hari wrote, a very contemporary content, meaning work from home. Thanks, Chris. You're most welcome. Thank you. Yeah. And then Movable Images wrote, that's one big bottle. It's a very big bottle of joy. Yeah. And so right now it's 9:44, and I'm at almost the 10 a.m. mark. Try this, man. It works incredibly well, right? It's like a ball and chain, though, right? All right. Next up, Demian. Hey, Demian. Demian is one of my MBA students from Barcelona. Demian wrote, good morning, dear Chris. Big hug from Barcelona, likewise. Many thanks for this new tool for work from home. Amazing. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you more. And please buy a Fernando Valenzuela a jersey for your family. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball history. He mesmerized us. He's from Mexico back in the early 80s. Yeah. That's your last name as well. Yeah. Next up, Harsh wrote, please create a business analyst course. Yeah. It's kind of part of my MBA degree program. We do a lot of qualitative analysis, and it's part of that big spreadsheet I showed you earlier today as well. Yeah. And I used to have a course actually on consulting, but I got rid of it because the ratings were so bad, right? It was awful. But I got rid of it. The market's always right. Next up, Mr. Nobody wrote, Chris, I have a software as a service idea for small and medium businesses that'll automate most of their tasks. It's an e-commerce services real estate management niche. Do I pursue this now or finish my college first? I say do both at the same time. And you should always be starting companies on the side your whole life. And when you actually complete an entire business plan, then I say consider starting the company, right? So you can always start in stealth mode without telling anybody. You can write the business plan. And failing to plan is plan to fail. And most people never finish a business plan. Write the whole thing. I promise you, it'll be the best business decision ever, so that you don't start it and realize there's a lot of issues with the company. Yeah. All right. Next up, Mohammed wrote, "Hey, Chris, hey, man. I took a course of yours on Haroon Ventures, but didn't get a certificate like Udemy. I hope you can add this feature. It's actually there. It's there. So if you want, what you can do is send a message to support@haroonventures.com with your email address you used to register and the course name, and we'll send you one today. Okay. But it is there. It should be there." And you wrote, also, if I want to add to my LinkedIn profile, where should I put it? Yeah, you can put it in education if you want, or in the other section at the bottom, if you want to. Yeah, that's what other people do. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then next up, ePronto wrote, "By the way, did you know that Canada is now the world leader in first dose vaccine, followed by Israel and the United Kingdom? Amazing. Unbelievable. Yeah, not sure how we did this. From no vaccines to being the leader. Lots of excitement here in Toronto." That's awesome, man. Badly needed positive news in Canada, because what happened in London, Ontario last week, where I was born, breaks my heart. Yeah. But my brother and my sister, my parents, they're sisters, they're up in Canada, and they've been complaining forever about how mismanaged, the mismanagement practices of Trudeau, the Prime Minister, when it comes to COVID, to the extent that in Canada, and Trudeau used to be a drama teacher. A lot of people are wearing red hats that say, "Make Trudeau a drama teacher again." Yeah. But it's great to hear that things are improving in Canada. And wow, second to Israel, that's incredible. Amazing. Amazing, yeah. And I really worried about Canada becoming a little bit more socialist, and many countries too. So, people were asked to stay home. But you can't police people to stay home. It's not fair to do that, But in Canada, my brother told me, he said, "Look, Chris, if I want to drive to my cottage and the cops catch me doing it, they're going to fine us $150 for each person in the car." And I wanted to go home and see my parents. And the government basically said, it was on a government website in Canada, that if I don't quarantine first, which I would do, but if I don't quarantine first and I get caught, it's a $750,000 fine and 6 months in jail. Like, aren't we supposed to be moving away from communism, moving towards capitalism? And that's an extreme con for Canada, I know. I just hope that people get all freedoms back. Like the whole issue with not being able to go to golf courses in Ontario recently is ridiculous. Yeah. As you can tell, I believe in freedom of the individual. And my favorite license plate in history is New Hampshire. On the bottom of it, it says, "Live free or die." Yeah. But it's great to hear that news about Canada. Yeah. All right. Next up, Ahmed wrote, "Hey, Chris, as a high school student, should I have a cover letter when applying to jobs and internships?" Yeah. I don't ever recommend giving a cover letter unless they ask for it, right? But what you can do is, if you email in your resume attached as a PDF, your cover letter can kind of be the short paragraph you write, less is more, in that email. Yeah. And you can learn more about this by taking that complete job course, which I'm making free today. Just go to haroonventures.com/complete job, all lowercase. Yeah. And I'll teach you how to write a cover letter in that course as well, if that's what you want to do. Yeah. Ali, how are you? Ali wrote, "Hey, Chris, I've recently been on a spiritual journey." Cool. "And I've read a lot about different religions. I was inspired when I heard about Kyrie's journey and how he reverted to Islam. I have been, is this Kyrie Irving? I didn't know that. It's my son, Matthew, my middle child, this guy here, his favorite player is Kyrie Irving. Yeah. Basketball player, yeah. I heard, so, and then you wrote, "I've been your student since 2017, and as my mentor, I highly recommend that you read The Choice by Ahmed Ditat." Thank you. I'll check it out. I have a lot of books on my watch list now. Let me just do a quick little screen print. Command Shift 4. Good. Done. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Great to hear from you. Next up, Tanzil Ahmed wrote, "I have no connection except on LinkedIn in my industry, which is the software industry. I am new to my industry. What should I do?" Yeah. So you got to start somewhere. what I would do is, start reaching out to people that also work in the software sector that also maybe went to the same school as you as well. And what you can do is you can actually have LinkedIn automatically search through your Gmail contacts or whatever contacts you have on any platform. And if those people are also on LinkedIn, LinkedIn can actually help you connect with them as well. It's an automated process. Yeah. Or you can just take my complete job course, which will help you with all that stuff anyway. And my MBA degree program is a much more recent, updated version with a lot more features too, of course. All right, next up, Jose, who lives in Texas now, wrote, cross-platform gaming is the next frontier for the gaming industry, in my opinion. Hopefully soon the whole world will be able to play together and know that NFTs is a thing. Pluto is the limit. Yeah. And I know you've got a Mac as well, and so do I. And the thing that sucks about Macs, dude, is that the games suck on Mac. There's nothing except for maybe, SimCity from 2013, which I still play. But if you're a hardcore gamer, PC gamer, it's got to be Windows, yeah. And then currently I'm playing GTA. This is a PlayStation controller, but currently I'm playing GTA 5 modded out on my Alienware computer. Dude, it is such a good game from 2013 as well, and it still has wheels. I'm playing modded out. It's great, but I can't do online with the mods though. But it's fun. And Trevor in that game is not what Canadians are like in real life. All right. Okay. All right. And then Jose wrote, Chris, can you explain a bit about NFTs? Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So the best thing I could tell you is go to my website right here. And if you go to my website, and I'll answer this quickly here, you just do a search here on NFTs. Okay. And what will pop up are a bunch of videos. And so I talked about this, NFTs explained, and I gave a bunch of examples as well, and talked about baseball cards as well. So I would check that out. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. And thanks as always, man. All right. And then Dennis wrote here, I missed you, Jose, man. Hope you're doing well, bud. Next up, Dennis wrote, I think this will be my last question for today. Ask as much as you want to. Just imagine you want to get an internship and you need to apply to a big company. How would you make your application, although you haven't done something impressive yet? Yeah. So whenever there's an opening online for a job, and the way I answer questions is generic enough to apply to everybody, but whenever there's an online opening for a job, don't just apply to it because thousands of other people do. And the person that gets the job anyway is somebody that knows someone at the firm. What I want you to do is I want you to start networking and meet people at that company, right? And bond with them. You got to bond before business because relationships are always more important than product knowledge. And what you can do is take my MBA degree program to learn more about this, or you can take my complete job for a condensed, shorter version as well, which I'm making free today. Yeah. So relationships are more important than product knowledge. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Colin wrote, Chris, I once worked for the largest oil company in the United States, ticker XOM. And their corporate principles looked amazing on paper. However, they still hired a lot of jerks, and most of these jerks became managers. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, at least there's a couple of environmentally friendly activists, investors on the board of Exxon. Yeah. And if you're getting mismanaged at work and you're being treated poorly, it's that could motivate you as well, big time. It can motivate you to start a new company. And I'm going to show you my 1000th vlog as I take a quick break. This is very, very short, okay? But this is all about corporate bullies, okay? This one's out there, but I'm very proud of this one. Thanks. If you bully people at work, meaning if you're a corporate bully, then I want you to keep watching this. Otherwise, don't watch the rest of this vlog. It's going to be out there today. But for you, the corporate bully, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being such a jerk. And by the way, you peaked in high school and you're so insecure that you treat people poorly. I get it. You're really insecure. I understand. But you know what? in a bizarre way, and I think what you've done at work, treating people poorly, is disgusting, but I think in a bizarre way, I want to thank you because you've motivated the people that you've treated poorly to quit and to join another company, or you've motivated them to start their own companies. You see, frustration in business can be a beautiful thing, and I say it with love in my heart. Because if you're frustrated at work because you're being treated poorly, and I've been treated poorly many times before, then that forces you to get outside your comfort zone and get a better job. Or better yet, start your own company. If I can be resourceful in any way helping you start your own company, please let me know. Thank you. Not the bullies, just the people who are being bullied, like I was. Thank you. All right, thank you everybody for your patience. All right, and I recorded that vlog at my wife's parents' house in Florida. Yeah, on my way to the pool to watch the kids. Okay. Next up, Anurag wrote, Dear Chris, greetings. Likewise. What are your thoughts on financial risk management courses offered by GARP US? I don't know anything about that, sorry, but if you want to see if it makes sense to get it, maybe look at LinkedIn profiles of other people to see if they have it and if it helped their career as well. All right, next up, ePronto wrote, I own SLV, which is the ETF for silver, and GLD, which is the ETF for gold. And yesterday, big slides started and continued today, 5% down. Why do you think that drives a slide in commodities today? I don't know. Maybe it's because Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, mentioned that interest rates will be low and they'll start to raise in 2023. So I don't know. Maybe that's why. Who knows? Yeah. Gold is usually a flight to quality. And so I own gold in size usually when the market is selling off big time and people are panicking. So in 2008, my go-to commodity to invest in was gold. Yeah. In silver, there is a bit of a correlation, silver with gold. It's not massive, but there's some because, silver is kind of a precious metal people want to hold on to, but also there are industrial reasons why people use a lot of silver in products. And so the economy is very cyclical, and when the economy is not doing as well, silver pulls back as well, right? So the bottom line is that a great flight to quality, and when times are tough, is to buy gold, GLD, which again I owned in size 2008. All right. Next up, Anurag wrote, can you please explain to us the concept or policy of how much currency a country can print? It's always wonderful how a nation can be rich or poor when it's their discretion to limit currency. Yeah. So the way it works is this, and this is fake money here. Okay. But the best way to explain it is, let's say we go to the grocery store one day. And this is a prop for my upcoming futures course. Yeah. Let's say we go to the grocery store one day, and we notice the price of corn has gone up from $1. I'm making this up. $1 for 1 unit to $10 for 1 unit. And you're like, dude, this is crazy. Why the hell would I pay $10 for corn? Where's the manager? And I go to the store manager and I say, store manager, how are you? Why is it that corn is $10 now? It was $1 last week. And the store manager says, oh yeah, it's because there was a drought in a lot of the fields. It hasn't really rained much, which is happening right now in California. It's scary. And so as a result, there's just not much corn out there. But, people still want to buy corn. Right? And so demand has stayed constant. Supplies go down a lot. So the price of corn is up. It's $10 now. It's crazy. That's how the United States works as well, in the Federal Reserve. Okay, so the Federal Reserve is like the manager of the store of money, like the manager of the store that had corn in it. And so if there's less of this stuff around, right, the supply goes down of both of these things, the price goes up. So if there's less money out there this is fake. If there's less money out there circulating, then what happens is interest rates go up because demand for money stays the same, but supply goes down. And the way that governments increase and decrease the supply of money is as follows. They issue bonds, right? Because governments aren't run like a business, nor should they be. Countries should not run like a business, right? When a government wants to, defend themselves, if God forbid there's a war, or they want to build a bridge, not a wall. What they do is they can't just collect enough tax revenues to do that. Taxes don't pay for stuff. And so what they do is they issue bonds. And so the way they issue bonds is as follows. Bonds is kind of like debt in a bank, right? When you get a loan from the bank, that's kind of like a bond. Right? You have a bond, you have to pay it back. So the way that it works is this. I'm the U.S. government. Okay, I'm Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve. And what I do is, let's pretend that this is a bond. Okay, you're all consumers, you're all investors, you're all big banks, etc. So I have this bond and I sell it to you. Okay, and you buy it because the rate's high on it. It's great, right? So I sell this to you, this bond. Okay, and in return you give me your money. Then what I do is I use some of this money to build a bridge or whatever it is I want to do, and I take some of it also out of circulation. I retire it. Okay, and because there's less money out there now, the price of money goes up, kind of like the price of corn went up in that example, and that's called monetary policy. And that's how governments, jumpstart the economy as well, right? They can buy the bonds back from you and give you your money back. And all of a sudden there's more money out there and interest rates go down. That's called monetary policy. Now, it's problematic though because rates are basically zero now. They've run out of monetary policy bullets to jumpstart the economy. So they have to use what's called fiscal policy to try to jumpstart the economy, which is sort of working in some countries. Yeah. So anyway, that's how it works. Now, in the United States, the manager of the bank of money, so to speak, is called the Federal Reserve. In other countries, it's called the Bank of whatever. In Canada, it's called the Bank of Canada. In Europe, it's called the European Central Bank. In England, United Kingdom, which is not part of the EU, it's called the Bank of England. In Japan, it's called the MOF, the Minister of Finance. Okay. All right, give me 1 second here, guys. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. And next up, King of Dreams. Oh my God, I love that name. That's awesome. King of Dreams, first time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again because you, along with my many students, inspire me. I love that. King of Dreams. Yeah. King of Dreams is saying, what do you think of PaySafe, the company? Yeah. I don't have an opinion on that company, so I don't know much about it. Yeah. But if I were to look at the company, what I would do is I'd use one of my many investment frameworks in my MBA degree program as well. Thanks. Now, I turn the gain down. Peyton, if you're still on, who's my resident tech expert here, good guy. Peyton, let me know if the audio is too low. I turned the gain down slightly because I was clipping last time. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. All right. Next up, Victor wrote, Chris, do you believe in the lean startup methodology? It leans to have a single page business plan, which you iteratively improve by talking with potential customers. It contradicts the business plan approach. Yeah. No, I don't think it completely contradicts it because in my business plan course and in my much more thorough MBA degree program, the Venture Capital Bootcamp, there's two outputs from that process. One is a 150-page business plan, right? And the other one is an executive summary. The executive summary is more than 1 page though, right? It's like a 10-page briefing or so. So I like that approach. And what I do when I look at investments as well is I help my students create 1-page write-ups on investments that analyze fundamentals, valuation, and technicals. And I also have a 150-page due diligence report process as one of the many arrows in your quiver or tools in your toolbox I provide you with in the MBA degree program. Yeah. Yeah, but I do believe in the concept of an MVP. MVP standing for minimum viable product. I think if you create a product and you want to wait until it's perfect, you'll be too late. Because as Salvador Dali, the great painter, said, if you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. And so I believe in releasing products when they're not perfectly ready yet. And even Reid Hoffman, who's the co-founder of LinkedIn, said if you release your product when you're 100% sure it's ready, you miss the market. You miss the market. Yeah. And so, yeah, like for me, for example, in real time, my product to all of you, I can monitor. It's not perfect. I see the number of viewers went down from 85 or something to 61. So I'm getting real-time feedback on the quality of my crappy presentation. Minimum viable product. All right. Next up, Jose wrote, Chris, if you were to start a telemarketing department, what would you look for potential team members? Also, which skills would you develop the most and how? Yeah, it's tough. I always look at when I interview people, and I cut my teeth on learning how to interview when I worked at Goldman. I over-interview. Like I'll even have people intern with me for 6 months before I bring them on full time. And what I look for is passion. Okay, I look for team players. I also look for people that are not bullies, right? So and I go with my gut a lot, and you know what I'm talking about. We've all been screwed over in life and in business by trusting certain people. And when we tell ourselves there's something about this person, I can't put my finger on it, but I don't trust them, or they have a negative attitude, maybe they're bullies, the way they look at other people in the company, etc. And the problem is that, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, shame on me. So always go with your gut. I believe in hiring very slowly and then firing quickly as well. I don't fire fast enough. I usually do the right thing, but it takes me time. Yeah. But you want to find people that are passionate about it. And you want to hire people that don't see it as a job. Right? They absolutely love doing it. In terms of what skills to look for, I would look for people that have superb customer service skills. Okay, look for people that genuinely and sincerely want to help other people as well. And within telemarketing, make sure that they have a good understanding of social media platforms and social media marketing as well. Yeah. And then Jose wrote, Angela Yu's courses are great, by the way, 100% recommended. Yeah, she's awesome. She's great. And you wrote Flutter rocks. I don't know what Flutter is. Sorry. All right. Next up, Fernando wrote, "What do you think about Bitcoin becoming legal tender in El Salvador?" Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time until cryptocurrencies become the main currency, so to speak, in all countries. But I think the way it's going to work is, and this is fake money here. I think the way it's going to work is traditional currencies are going to have some sort of security embedded, kind of like that little strip here, right? But it's going to be embedded, cryptocurrencies within these things, right? So you get better security, etc. Yeah, it's going to happen. And the reason it hasn't happened forever, and the U.S. dollar will certainly not have the first mover advantage, is because it's been a monopoly, right? Every country's had a monopoly on fiat, meaning paper currency, forever. Right? There's been no incentive to modernize, but now finally cryptocurrencies, provide some sort of competition for these things. And I learned from Peyton, one of my amazing MBA students. He told me that over the past year, the government has increased by now about 33% the amount of this stuff out there, and that's not fair to us, right? I understand why they're doing it to prop up the economy. It's not fair because we work hard for something, we're going to get diluted. And that's why cash is trash, right? That's why I always have to have a diversified investment portfolio, which is what I teach in my MBA degree program. I think I'm talking a little bit too fast today, guys. Sorry. All right. Peyton wrote, amazing story, Chris. Love it. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Next up, we got Steve. Steve wrote, hey, Chris, thanks for the amazing job. You look cool and great. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thanks. I got my hair done instead of cutting it myself. First time in years. Yeah, and I got this. This here it's this guy, really nice guy named Sam Malouf, and he's also Lebanese. My mom is Lebanese, great guy. He owns this store, and I went down there, and yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah, I just want to try something different, and I get feedback from my students too. Like, people were telling me earlier this year, not based on my looks. Well, sometimes people were telling me earlier this year that Chris, you sound tired. And, one data point doesn't make a trend. And a couple of people mentioned that. So what I did was I got rid of my chair in my office. There's no chair here at all. And I don't sit down ever. And the way I'm able to and I get my 20,000 steps in daily. I've got a treadmill underneath me here. I wear these are the cheapest Yeezys, and I was painting the other day. but I wear these, which kind of help me as well take my steps. And I've taken close to 15 million steps in the past 2 years on this treadmill. And if you don't believe me, watch this. Alexa, what's 20,000 times 365 times 2?
20,000 times 365 times 2 is 14.6 million.
All right, now that rounds up to 15 million, yeah. And the reason I have painting this thing is because my son Dylan, who's my youngest kid's kind of an older a picture, he's 11 now, he started a company. And he did it all himself. It's pretty cool. And what he's doing is this, hence the paint. He's actually he's spray painting. Of course, I have goggles for him. He's spray painting people's addresses on the curb, right? So he's doing a white backdrop, waiting for it to dry, and then he stencils over top black spray paint for the numbers. So it's kind of fun. I'm teaching about business that way. All right. Next up, Steve wrote, please, which website do I learn about A to Z investment terms? There's Investopedia is pretty good. Yeah. I actually accessed the site before, but actually is offline now. Yeah. Or what we can do is just go to my website, haroonventures.com or harooneducation.com, and search for any term at the top there for a video explanation. I've done over 10,000 questions live now over the past couple of years. Yeah. All right. Next up, Safe. I wrote, hello, Professor. Hey, man. Can you please speak about your time at Accenture? I'm 22 and just graduated. I'm looking forward to working there. And I'm inspired by you and really want to know how you achieved all that you did there straight out of college. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, when they graduate, they're not sure what they want to do with their life. And so I always recommend, if you're not sure, to go to a job where you originate a product. And if you create the product and you hate creating the product, well, because you create it and you understand it, you can sell it, go into sales, or market it, go into marketing, or go into business development, etc., or start your own company about that. And so the best origination jobs are as follows: consulting, investment banking, and engineering. I'll explain why. In consulting, what you do is you work on corporate strategy, right? Or you help companies create their strategy. And if you hate doing that, well, because you understand how to make the strategy, you can market it, sell it, etc. In terms of investment banking, you're creating the financial product, like the IPO or M&A. And if you hate that, well, because you understand thoroughly how to make the product, you can then sell it, market it, do BD, business development, etc. And lastly, engineering. If you're not sure what you want to do, but in life, but you think you might want to work in tech, you can become a software engineer, which I used to be as well. And as a software engineer, you create the product. And if you hate creating the product, you can always move on to selling the product, marketing the product, etc. So the bottom line is, start your career in an origination job if you're not sure what you want to do. Now, in terms of Accenture, I started working there in Ottawa originally. And it was, don't ever stress out about anybody about your first job or even second job. Don't think, oh my God, I'm going to go there and they're going to want me to hit the ground running. It doesn't work that way. There's like a period of a couple of months where you don't do anything extremely value added. And so what I did when I was there, I'll never forget, I was in Ottawa. They made me photocopy day and night proposals or requests for proposals. And everyone was complaining about it, my peers, but I was like, you know what, man, I'm not going to have that attitude. I read the stuff I was photocopying as well, and I learned a lot as well. You do a lot of grunt work initially. Always when you start your first job. And one of the ways I got that job was I networked a lot. And so when I was in university, I worked hard, I played hard. I was president of my fraternity, president of newspaper, yearbook, all that stuff. And through my fraternity, and back then, 80% of all CEOs in the world were Greek, meaning they came out of, they were in fraternities. And that's not why I did it. I did it because I wanted to have fun, right? No regrets. I don't drink anymore, but I don't drink any less. But I bonded a lot, and there's a couple guys I met from another fraternity that worked at Accenture as well, and I sent them my resume, and they were a year older than me, and they worked at Accenture, and they saw my resume in the pile, and they kind of said, hey, take a look at this guy. So relationships always works. All right. And I remember when I was an undergrad at McGill University, back in the early 90s, so much fun. I remember one summer I applied for like 50 internships at the best companies, Coca-Cola, Goldman Sachs, etc. And I got 30 rejection letters back, right? And the other 20 never responded. And I put those up on my wall. I call it the wall of shame. And it kind of motivated me as well. And I realized in hindsight how wrong I was just applying to jobs. You can't get a job that way. What you have to do is you have to network a lot. And you can all take my complete job course for free today. Just go to haroon.education.com/complete job, all lowercase, or take my MBA degree program, which goes into much more detail. Yeah. Relationships are more important than product knowledge. Next up, James. Hey, James. James, that's my brother's name too. Jamie. So James wrote, good afternoon, Chris. I love your webcast as always. Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here and supporting me as well. Thank you. All right. And Jose is laughing at my joke when I mentioned before Isaac Newton invented gravity. Yeah. Yeah. And he actually invented gravity at Cambridge University. And I went there to spend time with a buddy of mine named Rob Percival that teaches courses on Udemy as well. And he mentored me. And what I did actually was he came in the Valley, and I introduced him to a lot of the who's who of different venture capital firms, Sequoia, Kleiner Perkins, etc. I took him to those meetings there. I wanted to help him. He helped me in return. But when I was there at Cambridge, he showed me exactly where Isaac Newton sat by that apple tree, when the apple fell on him and he invented gravity. And then Ashi wrote, if Chris says Newton invented gravity, then that's what he did. End of discussion. Yeah, thanks. I hope you guys got my Dark Side of the Moon reference there as well, with the color wheel. And then Vishnu wrote, never knew those secrets about those logos. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's cool. Isn't that fun? Yeah, there's so many hidden meanings in corporate logos that are fascinating. Yeah. Next up, Abilene said, Chris, can you please explain about digital marketing? Yeah. So in my MBA program, what I do is I teach you how to use social networking products. And MBA programs are not up to date. Mine will always humbly be up to date. I'm constantly adding new stuff, and I will be this year as well. And so if there's a new social media platform that is relevant in the future, I'll humbly figure it out and I'll teach that as well. Now, the way to know which social media platforms to use is as follows. So there's this really smart guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. Okay, and so you do a search on Gary V. Okay, and you go to his website. So he's really, really vocal. He swears every now and then. He's harsh, but you grow to love him because he is sincere and he's transparent. So if you scroll down to the bottom of Gary V's website, you'll see here he's got a bunch of logos. And this is something that I've used. No one's told me to do this, but these are the social media logos that he thinks are most important right now. And he'll get rid of certain logos every now and then. Like he doesn't have the logo for Method there anymore, which is a social media platform that I ditched as well. So the social media platforms for him that are most important are Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, which I can't figure out, LinkedIn, and then podcasts as well. Now, if you want to learn about how to create great content, you can take my complete YouTube course or my MBA degree program. Or what you can do is you can find out from Gary V. He's got a great PowerPoint presentation that's free that'll help you architect your social media strategy. And this had a huge influence on me, and I'm going to show you this. So it's hard to find his website now. So just do a search for 86 pages of insanity, Gary V. All right, let me see here. It's got to be here somewhere. Give me one second. Maybe it's here. Aha. All right, this is a newer one. Great. Okay, cool. So this is 270 slides here. You can go through it, but he'll teach you about how to create great content. This is new, actually. Okay, good. I'm going to copy this and bookmark this. So I'll look at this later. There you go, screen print. Yeah. But let's make it bigger, actually. Yeah. So basically, go through his methodology. And what he talks about is he talks about something called the content pyramid. And let me just back out of this now, and I'll explain it to you in this mode here. So he talks about how you create content, okay, and then you use what you've already created on other platforms. And I do this as well. So this YouTube call that you guys are watching, what we do is we repurpose the content out of this YouTube call. We make 7 vlogs for the next week, starting at 9 a.m. Every day it drops at 9 a.m. my time, my vlog. Also, from this webcast, we repurpose content into little Instagram videos or images every now and then, tweets, etc., and LinkedIn as well. Right? So it's a way to work smarter and not harder. And it's something that Nintendo pioneered years ago. You know, Nintendo has been repurposing their older content and existing content on many different platforms. For example, if you look at Mario 64, which is one of the best games ever, and without that you wouldn't have Call of Duty because it's open world concept, or GTA even. But Mario 64, for example, which came out on the Nintendo 64 in 95, they repurposed it and repackaged it, and it's available on the DS, which is no more. It's also available on the Switch now. And they do that with a lot of their other games as well. They repurpose the content. So the margin structure is very high because they've already created the content as well. And so the bottom line is when you create social media content, you have to think about repurposing as well. So you can work smarter and not harder. And YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it's free to mine the product, meaning use YouTube. And it's the only gold rush in history where you can get immediate access to billions of potential customers for free. And I think we're going to look back on YouTube a decade from now, and we're all going to say to ourselves, gosh, I wish I had used YouTube more often to create content. Because every video I create, I think of it, and I'm very long-term focused, I think of every video I create like a little franchise. It's like a little coffee shop that will make money in the long run. And I do because I love doing it too, most importantly. Yeah. All right. Next up, Casper wrote, and if I'm ever mispronouncing anybody's name, please let me know, and I apologize. Yeah. Okay, so next up, Casper wrote, to someone who asked about money transfers, I use Remitly, the Remitly app. So check it out. Thank you. Eileen, oh my God, it's been so long. Eileen, how are you? Eileen is one of my amazing MBA degree students from Atlanta. She is awesome. She is awesome. She has a great business. She's taken the next level. She's leveraged social media a lot as well, and she's been incredibly successful. She also bought a company a year or two ago and realized that the company owns a horse. And so I always tease her, it's Eileen that owns the horse. And Eileen's last name is the most beautiful last name ever. It's Deo Gracias, which is Spanish for, God thank you, or thank God. It's wonderful. And she's in Atlanta. And Eileen, I'm going to be in Atlanta actually in a couple of weeks before I go to Rwanda to do my weekly webcast from Rwanda where I'm building schools. It'd be great to meet up if you have time only. Yeah. So Eileen wrote, she wrote, I just popped in to say hi. It's been crazy busy on my end. Cool. You don't know how many times I've thought of you when applying MBA stuff in my business. Thank you. And Eileen graduated last year from the program. Thank you. And what Eileen does actually is she actually also has a treadmill. And she works just like I do from her treadmill. She's actually got a treadmill and an elliptical trainer side by side. And she doesn't work that way. And so I have, as you all know, I have it's kind of creaky now. I have a treadmill below me, and I get my 20,000 steps in a day doing this, right? So anyway, it's kind of fun. Let me turn this off so I don't have to wear a helmet. Yeah, it's great to see you. Great to see you. Okay, next up, I've got Francis who wrote, hey, Chris, I really enjoy your courses. Thank you. Appreciate it. I just want to wish you and your family a happy Father's Day. See you at the next webcast. Thank you. Thank you. And same to you as well. Same to you. All right. Next up. Oh, that's what it was. So Christine, my wife. Oh, I was at the top of the driveway getting boxes yesterday. My Amazon boxes for stuff to teach about. And one of the boxes was addressed to Christine. It was a Nordstrom box, which is a clothing store. I bet you she's getting me Nordstrom stuff. Okay, cool. Fun. All right, next up, Levy wrote, what are the liabilities for creating an investment fund for your business ventures? Yeah. So I would say the biggest risks, is that what you're asking, when it comes to liabilities, is always legal risks, right? So you always, whenever you raise money from anybody for any type of company, you want to get lawyers to draft all the documents to protect you, okay, and to protect your investors as well, right? So you got to have ironclad legal documents in place. And of course, you register your company as well, and you can go to LegalZoom.com to set up a call for $30 with a lawyer to figure out how to do that. I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor will I ever be. And please register your company first, always. Yeah. But yeah, and what happens is when you start an investment fund in many markets, what you can do is the amount of money you spent on creating those legal documents, you can bill over time. You can amortize over time to your investors. So with my hedge fund years ago, I spent $30,000 on legal documents for my onshore and offshore vehicle in the British Virgin Islands. I used a company called the Securities Law Group here in San Francisco. And that $30,000, I was able to amortize or expense to my clients. It was a tiny amount relative to the assets. I was able to do it over 5 years, right? So every month for 60 months. Next up, Jose wrote, when are you going to teach about derivatives? I'd like to understand how to use them properly. Absolutely. So, Jose, what I'm doing, and Jose graduated last year from the MBA program. As you know, you get all of my new content forever for free as well. All my MBA students do. So I'm adding it to class number 89 this year. A very lengthy a discussion of derivatives. Yeah. And so that will get added to your program and all the MBA programs, and it'll be released in the second half of this year. Next up, Levy wrote, what are the advantages of the foreign exchange market? Yeah. So a lot of companies use the Forex markets to hedge themselves in case there's a big swing in currency values. I'll give you an example. So there's a great German software company in Waldorf, Germany called SAP. And what SAP does is they sell enterprise software. And a lot of their revenue and earnings comes from the United States. And so when they make money in the United States every quarter, they bring the money back, they repatriate it back to Germany. And if the US dollar goes down a lot versus the euro, then, my God, they don't make as much money. And so what they do is they hedge their foreign exchange positions so that, and they set up what's called a straddle, which means a put and a call, which I'll teach you about in my course coming up soon. And they set it up so that if the dollar goes up or down a lot relative to the euro, it doesn't matter because they're hedged. And that's a good thing because investors hate earnings volatility, especially when it comes to changes in Forex. Yeah. And what I just mentioned there, companies also do with individual stocks, like I used to do it, setting up a straddle around a big event, so I wouldn't lose much money and vice versa. And companies also use it when it comes to commodities as well, which I'll teach about in my upcoming course. Yeah. All right, next up, Marin, how are you? So Marin is one of my amazing students in my MBA program, and we are building a school together in honor of her mother, who's watching her right now. Very proud of her, in honor of her mother. And the school is going to be in Kenya. And so let me show you this in a little bit more detail. So what I'm doing this year is I'm going to a town called Magoo. So let me go to Project Magoo. Here it is, .org. And so what I'm doing is Vital, who's one of my amazing students that graduated last year, we're actually building his school in a town called Magoo in Rwanda. And then next year we're building another school in Malelo, Kenya. And Marin is helping to build the school, and it'll be called the Leah Koros Memorial School. And so every year we're going to enter a new country in Africa, or anywhere in the world, actually, and make more schools. And the profits from, I'm humble to say things are going fine, whatever, but the profits from my MBA degree program, a lot of it, and my other courses is going towards this. Mostly my other courses. If anybody working for me is worried about bonus, don't be worried. Yeah. All right. Because I'm going to fire you before bonuses. No, I'm not. I'm totally kidding. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Latif wrote, greetings of peace, Brother Haroon and everyone. I'm on 2 meetings at the same time, but I wanted to acknowledge everyone. Thank you. Great to see you. And I actually have a podcast as well. And if you ever want to access the podcast of this call as I repurpose content, you go to my website here, okay? And then you go to About Chris, and then there is a podcast here. So you can listen to this entire call every week if you want to on a podcast, which I haven't really marketed, but we've been doing for quite a while now. And that's just a way for us to work smarter and not harder by repurposing our content using different social media platforms. All right, next up, I've got Peter. Peter wrote, hey, Chris, what do people in the former industry think about Steve Cohen? I remember seeing you tweet a while back. Yeah. So Steve Cohen ran SAC, a big hedge fund. SAC stands for Stephen Alexander Cohen. It's a big hedge fund that the government shut down. And you can do a Google search on that to see why. Yeah. All right, next up, Varun wrote, hey, Chris, I took your financial course on Udemy, and since then I am enlightened. I haven't felt finance was so simple until you simplified it. Thank you so much. God bless you. Keep enlightening people. Thank you, Varun. I appreciate that. Thank you. And what I'm doing now is I'm making that complete derivatives, futures, and options course, and I've got a lot of props as well to make it easy to understand. Because the way I learned it was just, I don't know, it's kind of boring. But I'm going to make Black-Scholes option pricing and binomial option pricing theories fun and easy to understand for everybody with a lot of props. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. And Carolyn is saying, I was thinking of your fashion statement. You look very good today in blue. What about trying an open jacket and a t-shirt? Yeah, the problem with open jackets is that it kind of, you can see it's wrinkled now. It kind of flops around. It's just kind of more of a, I don't know, it's kind of a nicer look, I think. Yeah. Maybe I'll do a t-shirt as well. So the way I used to dress and the way I still dress with my MBA students in their office hours is I have a t-shirt on. Yeah, I'm trying something different as well. Yeah, it's kind of fun playing growing up. Again, I'm trying to act the part, trying to fake it till I make it. I can never get this straight. Yeah. Next up, we got Mike Flynn. Mike wrote, hi, Chris. What prerequisite background does one need to be in your MBA program? Nothing. You don't even need a high school degree. I'm making this program accessible for everybody. You can take it, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. But I teach you everything from scratch. Yeah. And the way it works is there's 100 classes that are at least 3 hours long on average. And after each 100 classes, there's a very short quiz that takes no time to do. And all you have to do is get over 50% on half of the quizzes to graduate. So it's kind of like you choose your own adventure, so to speak. You don't have to take all courses. And the best analogy I have about this is I feel like I'm a waiter, hopefully a decent waiter with okay food, right? And this is where I proposed to my wife 21 years ago in Paris, a restaurant called Maxine's. And so I'm a waiter. And so when you go to a restaurant, you look at everything, but you just choose one or two things. And that's the way I structure the program as well when I teach about business. If you're not interested in options or advanced finance concepts, don't take those classes in the program. Just takes what's of most interest to you, because in order to get the degree, you just have to pass 50% of the quizzes. Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Latif, who wrote, Brother Haroon, hey, 6 years ago, I was an MA junior in accounting and finance. How should I proceed with your courses? Which courses should I start with? Yeah. So the first one I would take is one called Introduction to Finance Accounting, Valuation and Modeling. That's the first one I would take. And after you take that, let me know, and I'll tell you what the next step is. All right. And then Manas wrote, have you heard about the Ronaldo, I guess the footballer you're talking about, the Ronaldo Coca-Cola dispute that happened this week? I've not, thanks. Yeah, but that guy gets a heck of a lot in sponsorships, man. Yeah. All right. And then Manas wrote here, thank you for answering my questions. God bless you and your family forever. Long live the HEV family forever, and lots of wonderful my favorite emojis. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you and namaste. All right, and Tada wrote, what a patient, responding to all the posts here, making the difference. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's fun though. Like when you do what you thoroughly enjoy doing, it's not a job. Yeah, and what I used to do these weekly calls, and we're on week 140 or 141 now, what I used to do was I would make them endless. Yeah, and our record was 9.5 hours straight. I didn't get up once when I used to sit down. And that was October 31st, 2019. Yeah. Next up, Michael, who goes by the Aquahood, wrote, I think I understand why people are getting their knickers in a twist when it comes to reset theory. I think it's a mix-up with the cryptos, maybe a bit of paranoia and ignorance. We live in strange times. Yeah. And the way I teach cryptocurrencies, I have a much more up-to-date way of teaching it in my MBA degree program. But in my complete cryptocurrency course, there's a 49-step process I teach you about in order to do research on cryptos, because I think most cryptos are an absolute scam. And I can't tell you how many spam comments I see every day on my cryptocurrency YouTube videos of people trying to scam each other with WhatsApp. Call me on WhatsApp, I'll take your money, sort of thing. Yeah. And if you want, go to my website, haroonventures.com, and do a search on cryptocurrency scam and how I caught somebody. Yeah. And I got the police involved, and then I dropped everything last second. You can watch the video. And so Michael wrote, what's the latest you can tell us about Rwanda, Chris? Yeah. So we finally broke ground. It's been tough because of COVID. And I'm going to go over and kick the tires along with Vital. And I'm bringing my son Andrew as well. This dude here, he's 17 now. This is kind of an older picture, right? They're all handsome and blue. Yeah. Their good looks are from their mother. Yeah. But I'll go in July. And what I'll do, actually, Michael, is I'm going to do my weekly webcast from Rwanda in July. And I'll show you and update that. Thanks. Next up, Levy wrote, what is the best strategy for selling my products on YouTube? Yeah. So I really believe in giving. And if you give, you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. So what does this mean with respect to YouTube? It means that if you create content that helps other people, okay, if you help other people, after a while, you'll be able to sell your products as well, right? And so what I do is I help people. It's fun for me to help them with business issues, because as Michael Jordan said, I've failed over and over again. And that's why I succeed. So that's what I do with my YouTube videos. I try to help people. But I also, every now and then I'll mention my products as well. And so if you try to help the consumer and you have the best customer service ever, then profits will fall into place longer term. And Jeff Bezos, in a very famous interview in the 1990s, you can find it on YouTube. Jeff Bezos said that customer service and profitability are strongly correlated in the long run. And it's fun to give and help people as well. And I have a course called the Complete YouTube Course you can take that will help you with that strategy. Okay, next up, Piyush wrote, hey, Chris, what's your opinion about Polkadot coin? I'm smiling because I watched as a kid in Canada, the Polkadot Door. That was a show in Canada. I don't really have an opinion, but if you do research on it, make sure you understand the supply mechanics as well. Make sure there's a limit on the number of cryptos created. Otherwise, what happens is, just like cash, it becomes trash. This is fake money. If governments make too much of it. Yeah. Okay. And ePronto wrote, to your earlier comment about lockdown in Ontario, Canada, while there were strong words from the government, those stay-at-home orders were rarely enforced, and we were nowhere near Australia, which had curfew. Okay, good. Yeah. And I'm so glad to hear things are turning around in Canada finally when it comes to COVID. Yeah. All right. And give me 1 second, guys. What happens every now and then is it jumps on me and I have to do Control F. I'll do a search on Toronto. Actually, I'll do a search on Ontario, sorry. Here we go, good, I found it. All right, Levy wrote, is your MBA program on my resume helpful, or can it substitute for a traditional MBA degree? Yeah, so I'm the program is not accredited. And the reason I don't want to do that is I don't want to jack up prices. And also, I don't want big organizational government bodies or standards bodies tell me what I can and cannot teach. They are part of the problem, not part of the solution. There's a reason why stuff you learn in business schools is antiquated and was relevant maybe last century. And business schools don't teach you the most important skills to succeed in life, in business. They don't teach you how to present. They don't teach you how to sell. They don't teach you how to manage your own money. They teach you how to manage other people's money. They don't teach you how to start a business. Ask anybody who graduates from business school, so you know how to start a company now. They don't teach you that stuff. They teach you bogus theory that you can't apply in the real world. And I know that for a fact because I did an MBA at a great school. On paper. All right. Nick wrote, thank you so much, Chris. You're most welcome. And then Frederick, who's one of my MBA students in the Platinum program, who lives in Baltimore. He works in the healthcare industry, and he's passionate about options and stocks. He wrote, hey, Chris, we'll talk next week. Awesome. I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks. Next up, we got Matthew, who wrote, hey, Chris, question. Can you please explain the thought process of CEO or top management? Yeah. So a CEO is basically a great salesperson. Okay, that's what they are. The same thing with top management in other companies. Like if you're a partner in a law firm or an investment bank, or if you're a partner in a venture capital firm, you're a great salesperson. You're selling. That's what you're doing. And so CEOs are very promotional and they're great salespeople. And of course, they can manage people as well. But the measure of a successful entrepreneur or a successful CEO is they can sell. Moving on to Vishnu, who wrote, hello, Mr. Chris. What are your thoughts on the $4 billion loss to Coca-Cola after Ronaldo put aside the Coca-Cola tins during an interview? Yeah. And somebody else asked about this as well. I'm so sorry. I've not looked into it. Maybe I'll make a vlog on that next week. Thank you. Yeah. And George, who's one of my amazing MBA students from Texas, don't mess with Texas, wrote, no doubt Newton was in the same room when Al Gore invented the internet. I love that. Yeah, and Al Gore, when he was campaigning years ago against Bush, I remember you had that Bush T-shirt on once. Al Gore said he invented the internet. Yeah. And I've actually seen Al Gore when I go over to Kleiner Perkins to visit my buddies, or at least before COVID. He's there every now and then as well. He works at Kleiner. He's on the board there. Yeah. He looks different now. Moving on to Abby, who wrote, Mr. Haroon, Chris, please. Firstly, thank you. I heard about your personal experiences in school and about Chisholm, which relates to my life. And now I'm excited for completing my own book. You've changed my life. Thank you, Abby. I appreciate that. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Chisholm, so when I was younger, growing up in Canada, I went to a school in Oakville, Ontario, and they thought I had a learning disability, and they wanted to fail me in the 6th grade and the 8th grade. Bastards. And so what they did was eventually they sent me to this learning disability center called Chisholm in Oakville, Ontario on Lakeshore Road to see if I had learning problems. But I don't know. Like, I believe that the role of a teacher, like the role of a great parent, is to instill a sense of confidence in their students and not really beat them up. But I'll show you what happened actually was, I've got the best parents. My parents, like they didn't understand what was going on. Like my grades sucked and everything. And I'll show you a prop in a second. The reason my grades sucked and they thought I had a learning disability was because I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. I was bored. And so what my dad did was he bought this for the house back in the 90s. It's a Mac, Blue Jays fan, of course. And I used to put my mouse here, actually. It used to be Velcro on the side. And my dad bought this, and my grades went through the roof because I found out, it's my favorite number 4, I guess. I found out what I was very passionate about in life. And I love using this thing to create papers and stuff and play SimCity in black and white back in '89. But I remember that, yeah. And so that's how I found my passion. And my passion was technology, and it's kind of fun, yeah. Now I'm taking it to the next level, trying to manage multiple computers at once here, which is just fun for me. God bless you, Abby. Thank you. Eileen wrote, at Chris, I have time for you. I'll send you a message. Awesome. Thank you. And so Eileen's one of my great students that graduated last year in my MBA program. She lives in Atlanta, and I'm going there in a couple of weeks. And the reason we're going there, Eileen, is, and I know your son is in university now. Congratulations on that. My son Andrew, who's 17 now. This is an older picture. He's going to Georgia Tech just to take a 1 or 2 week long course. And so we'll be in Atlanta for a bit. We'll visit Coca-Cola and Sienna and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting with you. Next up, Madav wrote, what can we expect from your MBA degree program? So the best thing I recommend to get a taste of what the MBA program is just go to my YouTube channel. Okay. So if you go to YouTube right here, if you go to my YouTube channel, what you can do is the first, there's a trailer here as well for the MBA program, and you can also look at the 5 main sections of the program here. Let me get it here so my head's not in the way. Okay, there are 5 tracks, right? And these are courses you can take if you want to within the MBA program. There's finance and accounting. Okay, the second track is entrepreneurship. Okay, where you go through the venture capital bootcamp. The third track is economics management and strategy, and that's actually a Nintendo background there. I created an entire level in Super Mario World 2 with my kids to teach you about strategy. It's fun for a case study of Apple buying Nintendo. The third part here is sales, marketing, and communications, and the fourth part here is personal growth. Right. So anyway, go to my YouTube channel and you can learn more about that there as well. And if you have questions, as always, please let me know, and thank you. Okay. Next up, Sunny wrote, hey, Chris, thank you for your cryptocurrency course on Udemy. It was funny learning about crypto, a life-changing course. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And actually, 2 days ago, we updated the course, right? So we added more new content. We updated web links, etc. I updated the Excel spreadsheet as well. And so if you want to get a more recent version of the Excel spreadsheet, the dashboard, you can download it there. Thanks. All right. All right, next up, Eileen wrote here, and we got about 10 minutes left. Eileen wrote, by the way, my husband is interested in learning about investing in stocks, etc. I told him he needs to learn from you, sharing with him your investment course. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you can have just watch the MBA lessons that you purchased last year for free. Yeah, thanks. Next up, Michael wrote, thanks, Chris. I'm really looking forward to the Rwanda webcast. Thank you. Should be fun. And then Sunny wrote, hey, Chris, I'm still waiting for your reply on Instagram. Yeah, I don't check inbound messages on Instagram. Sorry. Yeah. And I have a team that creates that content. And if anybody tries to send me a message in LinkedIn, it's so hard for me to get back to everyone. And I do apologize profusely. I've stopped accepting inbounds because there's a limit on inbounds you can get for contacts, right? So if we go here to my network here, I've got 855 people. It's just too hard, and I can't answer all questions. And the best way to always reach me is during this weekly call. Thank you. All right. And in a minute, I'm going to ask you all a question, and whoever answers the question correctly wins my $999 MBA degree program. Please don't answer the question if you've already signed up, though. So it's coming soon. So Anurag wrote here, on a live webcast, when there were internet issues, only one teacher in the world could compensate his students by offering his $100 course for free. Thanks, Chris, for what you did for us. Respect grew by 100 times. I appreciate that. Thank you. And for those that were on the call last year, I had some last week. I had internet issues. And the reason why I had internet issues was actually because I installed Symantec Norton, right? Because I didn't want to get a virus and stuff, and it decimated performance. It drove me crazy, right? But my speed is good now, and I'm getting fiber installed soon. Comcast is going to drill from the street directly to this office here, my office. But internet right now, it's decent. All we care about is the upload speed, right? So download, it goes close to a gig. It's going to be 10 gigs a second. Upload and download soon, though. And upload, which is more important because I'm uploading video live to all of you. The upload speed, look at me buying time till it goes to upload. Here we go, upload. Upload speed you need was stupid Norton product, which is, it's such an oxymoron. You get it to protect your computer, and now it made things worse. So I got it. Yeah. All right. Next up, Nikhil wrote, I'm from operations background. It seems your MBA is more related to sales and entrepreneurship. Please give your opinion. Yeah. So the 5 main tracks of the MBA degree program, I explained it a minute ago or so. You can watch those 5 tracks, just a highlight of it on YouTube, or you can go to haroon.education.com, and there's plenty of information on the website of the company on it there. Yeah. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. All right, cool. Next up, we've got Jay Wren, who wrote, hello, Chris. I just wanted to say thanks. Your courses on Udemy and your own website have been incredible. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm doing my best to understand the financial world, and your knowledge has been invaluable. Thank you. I appreciate it. And for more up-to-date comments on newsworthy events, you can always just go to my website, and at the top, just do a search. It's called Power Search. You'll see a video of me answering questions there. Yeah. Next question is from Colin, who said, Chris, may I suggest you make parts of the MBA course available as standalone modules? Yeah, it's something that my marketing team is thinking about, making them maybe, I don't know, $300 individual ones. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if we'll do that, but it's something that they've been looking into. Yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask you all a question. And whoever answers this question correctly, okay, will win my $999 MBA degree program. And the way this is going to work is whoever answers it first, okay, over YouTube gets it. And you cannot answer this question if you already have my MBA program. Okay, this is for other people. Okay, ready? All right. Now, if 5 people answer at the same time, whatever appears first is who gets it. That's the way it works. All right. Now, time for the question. All right, let me think about this. And I got to create a question based on the news stuff I mentioned at the beginning today. Let me think. Okay, I got it. During the news segment, I was talking about a certain indicator that Warren Buffett uses to decide if the market is overvalued. What is that formula? You got to tell me the numerator and the denominator. What is that formula? And so that formula, when it's above 100%, Warren Buffett thinks the market is overvalued. Okay, so what is the formula? You got to give me the numerator and the denominator. So the numerator, I'll look at your answers in a second. Actually, let me look and see. Yeah, it's market cap divided by GDP. Let me see who got it here. Whoa, tons of answers at the same time. Oh, here we go. Mike Flynn got it. That's right. Mike Flynn got it. It's global market cap divided by global GDP. And so the global market cap right now, meaning the value of all stocks in the world on the numerator, divided by the global GDP, meaning revenue for countries, is over 130% now. So Warren Buffett thinks the market is overvalued because of that. So congratulations, Mike Flynn, you won. And so Mike Flynn, what you can do is email me at support@haroonventures.com. And what I'll do is provide me with your name, your email and stuff, and then we'll get back to you. I'll get back to you within a few days, I promise you. Okay. So again, email support@haroonventures.com. Mike, congratulations. Congratulations. All right, great. Okay, so I'm now going to wrap up this weekly call, and as I do with all weeks, I end it with a video that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association of Steve Jobs. It's a very powerful video, and I think it's life-changing. And so I want to thank you all for your time. I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Please like and subscribe. And if you want, you can watch my vlogs daily that drop every day at 9 a.m. my time. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you. See you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. Thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. and you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.